For me, I'm going to say for now, this is an overreaction. Buried him in the turf with his chin wrapped around his nostrils. He calls a timeout. Good wherewithal by Eli. Great wherewithal.
Put this to music. I don't think he stepped out either. That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen.
Welcome back to the Week 7 edition of the Giant Overreaction. Y'all, I am ecstatic to be here. A little bit late there, running behind maybe about 2 minutes. You know, it's been a little bit a while here since I've smoked on some pack here, and we definitely got to smoke on some Commanders pack. I'm sitting here on North Capitol in Washington, D.C. I could not feel no better on this Monday afternoon than watching my New York Giants get a victory 14-7 against those Washington Commanders. I know the beard is feeling some type of way. Shout out to Rich Homie Quan. What a great performance by the New York Giants. We're going to get to it, especially this defense. This defense balled out. Love what I saw from the quarterback. Love what I saw from this struggling offensive line going out here and putting up a really solid effort in a victory for the New York Giants. And I mean, listen, man, I went back and I watched some stuff about Eli Manning, right? And I went back and I saw his last game ball that he had gotten, right, which was against the Miami Dolphins in his final season as a New York Giant. And he said something about there's no greater feeling in the locker room than a dub. It doesn't matter what's happened throughout the season. It doesn't matter how many wins you got, you know, throughout the year and whatnot. When you get a win like this, it's going to feel great in the locker room. So shout out to everybody that's in that locker room. Shout out to all the Giants fans who've been clamoring and begging for better play out of the New York Giants. And that's exactly what we got. It was a bit of a roller coaster of a game. We're going to go over it. Shout out to all of y'all who pulled up bright and early, man. I see y'all waiting in the chat, man. Salute to all of y'all. Salute to all the new fans who just pulled up as well. This is Awthentik and the Beard. I go by the name of Awthentik. I'll be your host for today. Y'all, I cannot wait to talk about this game. And if you are familiar with what I do over here on this channel, we used to talk about this a lot, right? When we were competing in games last season. We talked about the windows of opportunities, and I used to do this thing on every show where I would break down the windows where the New York Giants had a chance to put teams away. There were a ton in this game. And, you know, it's just good to get back to winning football. That's what's most important. You know, we haven't gotten a win since we saw the Cardinals in week 2 or week 3, whatever that was. I think that was week 2. You know, with the second half miracle from Daniel Jones, that was a good game. And since then, the Giants have lost, I believe, 4 straight games. So, you know, we've been just trying to get back into that win column. It's nice to get a divisional win, too. This is our first divisional win of the year. We've already tied the amount of divisional wins that the New York Giants had last season. So that's a bonus for us, and that's a positive thing for us as Giants fans. And I know a lot of people, you know, leading up to this week, people were talking about the whole tanking. You know, we want to get the new quarterback. We want to get the highest draft pick we can possibly get. And, you know, I'll never tell anybody how to fan or how to watch your team. But I just know for me, man, it's all about just trying to see my team get victories. I'm never going to root for my team to lose on Sundays. I don't care what the circumstances are, whether the number 1 draft pick is on the line like it was for the Houston Texans last year, you know, or if we're in a situation that the New York Giants are in right now. It does not matter to me. I'm never going to root for L's. I want to see my team win. And don't it feel great? Like, don't you just feel like you could go about the rest of your week in a positive manner, get some work done, not have to have that cloud lingering over your head about the New York Giants losing a game on Sunday and having to have that linger throughout the whole entire week. So for me, I don't know about for y'all, but for me, it feels great, man. Shout out to all of y'all in the chat. I see y'all pulled up nice and early here, man. Gregory in the building, Michael Knight in the building, Alvaro's in the building, Jameson in the building. My man, no Mets, no Nets, no Jets is in the building. Deedon in the building one time. Valentino's here in the building. Brian Perez in the building. Lucas all the way across the pond. What's going on, brother? I hope all is well. I see you in the building as well. Lou Mateo, my man OG Knockouts in the building. Jeffrey's in the building. Man, we got gang in the building. Ben Dawson in the building. Good to see you, Ben. Good to see you in the chat here. Kareem Yee. Chance Chambers is in the building. AJ in the building. I am Jarrell in the building. Jay Jackson in the building. Gang is in the building today, man. Big shout out to all of y'all, man. I see the Beard is in the building. He says congratulations to the Giants fans. I know that was a tough loss to endure as a Washington Commander fan, too, because we let y'all linger and hang around. in this game and gave y'all some chances to really put this one away, and y'all did not capitalize on that. So let's talk about this game here a little bit, and then we'll get off into some of these giant overreactions while people are piling in and whatnot. But damn, that win felt so good. Bit of a roller coaster at the end there. We end up beating the Commanders 14-7 in this one. Giants get their first offensive first-half touchdown of the year, and that felt good. We got 2 of them in the first half. And as I was watching this game, I was telling my lady, I was like, man, I just hope that we can, like, really put the pedal to the metal, really finish out this game in the second half. And you know, we did sputter a bit in the second half. Some turnovers definitely, you know, cost us some opportunities there for sure. The Giants' offensive line, and I opened up by talking about them, giving them a little bit of credit here because we've had so many different rotations on this offensive line this season. And just to see a team go out there, I think Tyrod was sacked 4 times on the day. I might be wrong. That was either 3 or 4 times. I think me and the Beard had talked about this, and we had said we thought it was going to be about 2 to 3, and I think it was 3 or 4 actually in the game. But the Giants have had 15 different combinations at the offensive line this year, okay? That's worst in the NFL. You could call it, you know, top of the NFL. It's number 1, whatever you want to say. To me, that's worst in the NFL. Only 2 of the Giants' 9 day 1 offensive linemen were still healthy entering this game. So the lineup for this game was Ben Bredesen, Tyree Phillips, Justin Pugh, Mark Lewinsky, and Marcus McKeithen out there. And, you know, that's not the greatest. You know, a lot of people are trying to credit what happened in this game to the offensive line, and I just think that's a bit egregious, right? Like, you got to give props to the quarterback. He's being decisive out there. You know, me and a homie were making fun of this on Twitter. We had a meme that was showing, like, a dude who was, like, you know, both his eyes pointing this way, and we're like, man, Tyrod can really see that field. He sees pressure from both sides, and, you know, he knows how to kind of brace for impact as well. Chase Young was definitely a problem in this game coming off that edge, and for a lot of people that were calling Chase Young a bust, I know the Beard is feeling really good about that. You know, even though they lost that game, he's feeling really good about how Chase Young played because Chase Young was all over the field. I believe he had 4 sacks on the day. So I think all of them was Chase Young, to be honest. But, you know, this offensive line, they gelled together. And I remember Tiki Barber had talked about it on WFAN about Justin Pugh, and he said, you know, a lot of people came out of that game were like, yeah, Justin Pugh is the reason why the New York Giants offensive line is gelling and why Tyrod Taylor's not being sacked as much as Daniel Jones. And Tiki Barber said it best. He said, Justin Pugh's not playing great football right now. You can't expect a guy to come off his couch and play great football immediately. He said Justin Pugh is playing inspired football, and I think that's a really nice way to put it because I think that's what Pugh is doing. We asked him to come off the bench, you know, come off his couch, get out here, play some football. He was not signed up to play tackle. He's been playing tackle. He came in to play guard, so it's good to see him, you know, going out there giving maximum effort. But I think a lot of this just has to do with New York getting back to their identity. Okay, we know if you watch this channel, I talk about it all the time. I got multiple videos, multiple live streams where I've talked about the identity of the New York Giants is Saquon Barkley. And yeah, Saquon's not breaking the big runs. He's not getting the big 100-yard games or nothing like that. But we're getting back to our identity. He has 52 touches for 216 yards since his return. I know that's not the ideal way to win games in the NFL by relying on a running back, right? But we have to do that as New York Giants. That's just what we have to do. It's the kind of ball we play. Our personnel is set up that way. We don't have a quarterback right now with either of these two guys that is going to go out here, drop back 35 times a game, put this team on his back, game in and game out, throwing the ball down the field. We don't have that. So we got to rely on our best weapons. Saquon Barkley is one of the best weapons on this team, if not the best weapon. And you heard the coaching staff, and Saquon came out and he said something about it as well, too, that, like, they're not shopping him right now, and they shouldn't be shopping him. He's the best player on the team. I know that, like, the timing does not align right, but you got to keep your playmakers on the field here, and this is a running back we're talking about. We're not talking about a quarterback that's, like, we're struggling with in the contract. We'll get there, right? But it's just $10 to $15 million maximum for a running back to be on your roster of the caliber of Saquon Barkley. To me, it's just a no-brainer. Until you actually get proof and you get evidence that Saquon Barkley is completely falling off a cliff, then that's when you can start to try to, you know, make those tough decisions and figure it out. I want to see Saquon Barkley back here next year. And speaking of Tyrod Taylor, I want to see Tyrod Taylor here next year as well as a backup as well. I think Tyrod's just, he's what you want in a backup quarterback. When that first string goes down, you know you got a guy out there that's going to go out there and give you an opportunity to win some games. And for everybody in the chat, for all the fam in the chat, save some of y'all questions for after this little opening if you can. But definitely talk amongst yourselves, you know, have the dialogue, have the conversation. But I want to focus on y'all today. I think y'all deserve that. We've been going through some streams where it's been a lot of information about losing. Today we're going to talk about winning. And the thing that I'm noticing with Tyrod Taylor, quarterback, is the rest of the unit gelling around him. When you focus on the identity with Saquon Barkley, Saquon had 21 rushes for 77 yards. It's only 3.7 yards per carry, but he did have 3 receptions for 41 yards, so that's over 100 yards from scrimmage. and he had the receiving touchdown. Now, we haven't brought these up a lot this year because there haven't been a lot of highlights to talk about with the New York Giants, but I want to bring some focus to a player that we signed in the offseason that a lot of people thought was going to be the guy who was going to make this offense move, and we're starting to see that these last couple of weeks. Now, listen, y'all, Darren Waller, this is why we brought him in, okay? Big touchdown in the first half, okay? He's been our leading receiver as far as yards go for a while here. The last 3 weeks, you're seeing a guy who's just revved it up. He had 5 receptions against the Buffalo Bills. He had 7 receptions against the Commanders on Sunday for 98 yards, 1 touchdown, and he's getting the targets. And I don't think that that's just a quarterback thing. We did see Daniel Jones target Darren Waller a lot in the Miami Dolphins game as well. But to get 8 targets in this game from a backup quarterback, I think that's amazing because Tyrod is utilizing the weapons that they brought in to be used. And not just Darren Waller. You got all these other guys on the field getting the proper targets. We wanted to see Jalen Hyatt take that role, step up, and at least have an opportunity to be a guy who can make some plays. We saw that in this game. He had his most targets of the season with 5 targets, just 2 receptions, but 75 yards receiving on the day. The dude's averaging over 30 yards per reception. You cannot beat that. And I love to see the quarterback targeting him early in these games. Tyrod Taylor, I tweeted this out. The dude is fearless. Like, you saw it last week against Buffalo. 3rd and 1, he goes deep. With the whole game on the line, he throws the ball deep down the field to Slayton. 4th and 1, he's throwing the ball deep down the field to Slayton. He's got the deep throw down there to Jalen Hyatt in double coverage. He does not care. And at times, you got to play the game loose and a little bit reckless like that. You see these one-on-one matchups, you take advantage of them. I looked at the passing chart from Tyrod Taylor this past week. I love what I'm seeing there. You're seeing a guy who is not afraid to attack down the field. And those are the things of why we brought these weapons in the offseason, why we drafted Jalen Hyatt. We thought that Darius Slayton was going to come back this year and be able to do the same thing. I love that crosser route that I saw from Darius Slayton. He picks up 22 yards. He had 1 reception in this game, but it was a pivotal one. I believe that was a 3rd down, too. You get that crosser, and the ball is right on him. It allows Darius Slayton to be able to use his wheels and get the proper yards after catch that he deserves. Wan'Dale Robinson, another factor in this game. He had the 22-yard reception as well. And Isaiah Hodgins, 2 receptions for 13 yards. Now, I want to talk about these windows of opportunities that I talked about here in the beginning, right? Because to me, there's still an issue with when you have a team on the ropes, you got to find a way to get the knockout, right? This is a metaphor that I will compare to boxing, right? It's like these people paid their good money to sit in these stands, and you got a team on the ropes. It's time to take them out and get the KO or get the TKO, however you got to do it. In this game, there were 5 opportunities, I feel like, that the Giants could have put this game on ice a bunch of times, okay? Now, the first opportunity came after a 28-yard pass from Tyrod Taylor to Waller. Tyrod is sacked for a loss of 13. And incomplete on a comeback on 3rd and 10, he goes deep to Jalen Hyatt, who saves him from the interception, and then the Giants got a punt. This was after we were up by 7. It's just the first of many opportunities where I feel like you cannot take a sack in that situation if you're Tyrod Taylor and lose 13 yards. You cannot do that. And then the 3rd and 10, Jalen Hyatt pretty much bailed him out on that one. It was some of the only bad football I saw from Tyrod Taylor on the day. He did have the one little out route to Wan'Dale Robinson that was along the flats on the sideline on a 3rd down. It looked like a really easy throw to me. Kind of just tried to put a little bit of too much sauce on the throw. Ends up overthrowing Wan'Dale Robinson. Now, the second window for me came with about 3 minutes left in the first half. Tyrod gets the ball. He hits Waller, converts on a 3rd and 2 with the little short run. The pressure cooking, right? And this, to me, was when I first saw there was a real issue up front because Tyrod was doing a good job of managing with, our tackles. I feel like letting the edge rushers get to the outside a little bit, but Tyrod doing a good job stepping up inside and manipulating the pocket. But at this point, I was just asking the New York Giants, like, can we start to run some more screens? We got to run some. We didn't see a lot of screens. I don't think we saw any screens on the day in this game for the New York Giants. And I think that's a great way to alleviate some of the pressure that the Washington Commanders were bringing up front. Tyrod ends up getting sacked on 3rd down. The Giants punt again, right? And I'm just looking at this like, man, these are big opportunities to be able to get this game out of reach. 2 scores, you're going to let a team kind of hang around, linger around a little bit. When games get to 3 scores, teams are going to start to panic, and you start to pigeonhole their game plan and force them to be able to only have to rely on a pass. I know the Beard is thinking RTDB no matter what. You down by 3 scores, run the damn ball. For me, when you get down 3 scores, it's time to start to think about like, hey, we need to start throwing this ball a lot more. Now, the 3rd window came with the Giants up 14-0. The window 2 was also up 14-0. And I'm looking at that like, man, you get even a field goal here. You can put this up 17-0. It's a great one. But on window 3, Giants enter the third quarter. You're up 14-0. And you force it. Defense comes out and, like, I'm going to tell y'all what I was thinking about in this game. And I know the circumstances were nowhere near the same. But I'm thinking about the Jacksonville Jaguars in the playoffs going up against the Los Angeles Chargers, right? You had Trevor Lawrence throw 3, maybe 4 interceptions, I believe it was, in the first half. They start to rally. You start to see things kind of spiral out of control. They go in the locker room. And I said to myself during that game, I was like, the Jacksonville Jaguars absolutely need a stop coming out of here, out of the tunnel in the second half, right? I felt the exact same way with the Giants, even though we were dealing with the lead here. I was like, if we could come out here and get a stop to start this second half and then drive down here and score a touchdown, this game is all but over, okay? You get the 3 and out. The defense goes out there. They handle business. They get the 3 and out. And then they punt the ball. At this point, I'm feeling extremely swaggy watching the game, too. I'm just like, man, I'm in my bag just waiting for more touchdowns at this point. First half looked incredible. Tyrod Taylor's numbers after the first half were so good. I was just like, wow, I'm looking forward to the second half, revving it up, and the adjustments to really put this game away. And then you get Sterling Shepard back there at punt return, muffs the punt, and he looked nervous from the other punts that he caught. He looked really nervous. He ends up muffing the punt. Commanders get the ball damn near in the red zone. They're in the green zone. They're attacking. And I'm starting to get worried because, these things can start to spiral out of control, and you start to see a team get some momentum, and it's just a 2-score game. We already left some opportunities out there in the first half. I'm starting to get a little worried here, and it's the first mistake. I'm cool, but I'm like, man, one more mistake like this, and we could really be in trouble. The Washington Commanders end up falling short on third down. They go for it on fourth down. They end up picking it up on a little short rub route to Jahan Dotson, and then a couple plays later, Brian Robinson's in the end zone. And I'm like, man, the way that this defense played for the offense or for the special teams to go out here, muff a punt, that's doing our defense a disservice. And I know Sterling Shepard, he was on the sideline. You could see him on the broadcast, very distraught, and they ended up pulling him from punt return on the game. I think that was the right decision by Brian Dable. Although Sterling Shepard is a veteran on his team, you got to make the right moves that are right for the team. I had a couple homies in the Twitter spaces saying, Darnay Holmes has experience back there at punt return. You could have put him back there. And Darius Slayton did a good job of just letting the next punt just go over his head and go in the end zone. My thing is like, hey, man, if you're going to have troubles catching it, just let that ball hit the ground. You're better off at least having your offense having the ball, right? That was the biggest mistake to me of the game. And then window 4, we end up, going on offense and having to punt the ball. Defense gets, back on the field and whatnot. There's 3:57 left in the third quarter. We're still up now 14-7. And Kayvon Thibodeau has a great opportunity with Micah McFadden putting pressure on Sam Howell. Ends up having Sam Howell throw the ball like a lollipop ball just straight up in the sky. And this was a potential pick 6 for Kayvon Thibodeau. And, I'm still trying to remain cool here, okay? I end up tweeting out, Kayvon's on defense for a reason. I was talking to Kid Blue about it for a little bit. It's a big mistake, And it could have been Kayvon Thibodeau's second touchdown, in back-to-back games for him with a touchdown against the Commanders. That would have been awesome. You know how Kayvon closed out that game with Taylor Heineke the last time. Ended up getting the strip sack, walked into the end zone. It wasn't closing out the game. It was actually in the first half, but it was a big reason why the New York Giants won that game. And I tried to ignore it, but I'm starting to feel a little, shaky in my boots here. I'm like, man, this is not good. And then you get the Washington Commanders getting down the field there, and Leonard Williams ends up blocking a field goal. And I'm like, okay, because 14-10, I'm starting to get a very worried. I'm starting to shit bricks here if it would have went to 14-10. To have them get the block field goal, it made me feel a little bit more comfortable. We get the ball back, and I like the field position that we're in. So I'm like, a couple of first downs here, man. We get a field goal or get a touchdown here. We get this back to a 2-score lead. We'll have a 2-score lead in the fourth quarter. We should be able to close this out, right? Tyrod ends up getting sacked 2 times on back-to-back plays after Saquon had a short run on first down for just a yard. Giants get a first down, though, and get a little break from a Washington penalty. And I'm like, oh, okay, referee's kind of on our side here. This is good. You get a huge third down conversion from Tyrod where he escaped a little bit of pressure, and he hit Saquon Barkley on a little short pass there. And then you get Tyrod. He goes deep to Jalen Hyatt, and, man, I'm in my room. I am celebrating at this point. Giants about to be in the red zone. I'm like, this game is all but over, and we're moving the rock. We get a couple of runs from Saquon. I'm like, this game is over. I'm feeling like this game is over. A couple plays later, our most dependable player, I'd say, on this whole entire team, who never has issues fumbling, ever. I think he's only lost one fumble in his entire career and has only put the ball on the turf 5 times in his entire career. Saquon ends up fumbling the ball, and you give Washington another shot. Thank God for this defense, because if I'm giving out a game ball, I'm giving the game ball to this defense. This defense went out there and they handled business in the most proper way. And you can't forget the Graham Gano missed field goal early on in this game. So with all these opportunities, right, it's interesting. Giants end up winning this game 14-7, right? But in all reality, this game could have been 31-0, man. Me and the Beard talked about this on the show, right? And the Beard was like, I'm a little worried. I think this game could possibly be a blowout. And I was like, you really think this might be one of those ones where the New York Giants get a blowout? And I think this is what he feared. We indeed definitely had a chance to blow out the Washington Commanders on Sunday. And we just didn't play our best. We didn't play our best football, right? And if we would have played our best football, this would have been a no-brainer blowout. But I knew that the New York Giants couldn't come into this game and play their best football. I knew that. I know that we're a team still struggling, still trying to find ways to win. And I want to show y'all something here. I want to show y'all my assessment of the preview of this game and how absolutely spot on I was in my prediction for the New York Giants welcoming the Washington Commanders to MetLife. Check this out.
Awthentik, tell me what you got.
I got all my money in, pushed all the chips to the center of the table. New York Giants are getting this win, man. Got to. Played good against the Buffalo Bills last week. Listen, I'm not one of these people that like to do this. You know, they played them, we played them better. But listen, okay, we played the Buffalo Bills last week. Y'all played the Buffalo Bills a couple of weeks ago. They blew y'all out. It was 33-3. We played them. It was 14-9. I think our defense shows up in this game. I think Sam Howell's going to have some problems turning the ball over at least once in this game. New York Giants come away with the victory. Tyrod Taylor gets the ball in the end zone 2 times. Could it be more spot on? At least one turnover from Sam Howell. We got one turnover from Sam Howell. A good game by this defense. We got a great game by this defense. 2 touchdowns by Tyrod Taylor. I didn't think we was going to get them both in the first half, but, man, could that be more spot on? If you agree with me on that, can I get some biceps in the chat? Because, you know, I don't like to do this too much, right? But that was damn spot on. That was damn spot on. So, you know, this game kind of panned out the way I thought it would pan out. Outside, I did think we'd probably get a touchdown in the second half. You know, and we got off to a quicker start than I thought we would. Good to see us put the ball in the end zone 2 times in the first half, though. But let's talk about this defense a little bit here. The Giants' defense completely dominated, man. And I'm liking what I'm seeing here the past 2 weeks, okay? We had Josh Allen just put up 14 points on us. And here we go against the Washington Commanders. They only put up 7 points on us. And let me focus on a tweet from Lawrence Tynes here. Lawrence Tynes said Buffalo was averaging 32 points coming into the game against the Giants. The Giants held them to 14. The Washington Commanders were averaging 22 points per game. The Giants held them to 7. That's incredible for a defense that was kind of struggling trying to find their identity in the first, 4 games of the year. To see them get back and get on pace like this, this is what I want to see. I have this kind of confidence in this defense. And I don't know how many of y'all saw me on Bleacher Report when I talked about the building blocks for the New York Giants. A lot of them were on the defensive side of the ball. Plenty of people have been talking about blow this thing up, right? It's time to just clean house. And I said, nah, it's really not time to clean house. You have a lot of building blocks here, and a lot of these guys showed up in this game. I talked about Jason Pinnock. I like Xavier McKinney as a building block. You know, I think he's a young safety. It's all about the money with him. You're going to have to find a way to maybe get him here on a team-friendly contract, if anything, but that's what's going to make it tough. Deontay Banks, who had a great game, 7 tackles, and he had the incredible interception, which is the most difficult type of catch for wide receivers or DBs to make, the over-the-shoulder catch. He made that interception. You had Leonard Williams with 2 tackles, a sack, and a blocked field goal. Bobby O had 11 tackles and 1 pass breakup. You had Dexter Lawrence with two sacks on the day, six tackles on the day. Kayvon Thibodeau, 1.5 sacks, 4 tackles. Jason Pinnock, 6 tackles, 4 quarterback hits, which led our team, 1 sack. Micah McFadden, 5 tackles. He had a half sack, 2 quarterback hits. Xavier McKinney, 2 pass breakups, 3 tackles. Nick McLeod came into this game when Deontay Banks was banged up for a little bit, and he even had 2 pass breakups on the day. Love what I saw out of him. They all looked good. Cordell Flott, Trey Hawkins, Hottie looked good. Simmons, Ashawn, Cam, Dane Belton, Darnay. Even Bobby McCain was out there making some plays, and Matt Breida even had a tackle on special teams. Y'all, biceps in the chat for this defense. If our defense can continue to play like this throughout the rest of this season, this team is going to have a lot of chances to win games. Now, at the beginning of the year, I predicted 8 wins on the season. Who knows? Right where we are at right now, sitting at 2-5, is exactly how I had it through 7 games. It's exactly how I had it. because there's no one in their right mind that would have thought the New York Giants was going to go out there and beat the San Francisco 49ers, the Buffalo Bills, the Seattle Seahawks, the Miami Dolphins, and the Dallas Cowboys. So for everybody who was out there saying the Giants are going to be 12-5, 11-6, all this stuff, yeah, we still got to hope. I'm not ruling out the hope, but those are very, very, very optimistic takes. Okay? The lone Washington score was off the muff punt, so virtually by the defense, this was a shutout. At the half, the Commanders were 0 for 7 on third down. They had 7 punts. 350 yards in punts was a career high for Washington Commanders punter Tress Way, and Tress Way is a damn good punter, Under 50 yards of total offense at the half. Howell was sacked 5 times in the first half. The New York Giants came into this game with 5 sacks total throughout the whole entire year. It all came down to a 4th down stop from the 7-yard line. I had confidence in that defense, man. I knew they were going to come away and make the play. It's exactly what they did. The Giants defense. Now, we've talked about our offense not having first half touchdowns, right? The Giants defense has not allowed a first half touchdown in 2 weeks. They held the Buffalo Bills scoreless for 3 quarters last week. So, man, big shout out to this New York Giants defense. That's New York Giants football right there. And I'm one of the people who question, do we got the dogs on this team? You know, I was like, I don't know where the dogs is for real. And on Sunday, you saw a lot of dogs. Now, the one thing I'll say, to put a little asterisk next to that, because y'all know me, I'm a realist over here. I definitely keep it real. And you see people on Twitter talking about the realists. When you see them talking about the realists, those are shots fired at your boy Awthentik, for sure. Because I'm not going to be too optimistic. I'm not going to be too pessimistic either, right? I'm going to keep it realistic. I'm going to keep it funky as much as I possibly can. That's how I do, right? This is still against lesser opposition. So I'm not running to the bank extremely happy about this. I'm glad we got a win. But at the end of the day, it's against a team that we've dominated against. Daniel Jones, he's 5-1-1 against the Commanders in his career. And this is not no shade towards the Beard, my co-host, the best co-host in the country. You know, the strong side to the left side duo. But the Washington Commanders are just an average ball club, and the record says it. You know, Bill Parcells says you are what your record is, and they were 3-3 coming into this game. They were just an average ball club. I think the New York Giants have faced way greater competition, and that's why our record looked the way it looked. You know, we've lost some big games by big numbers. You look at the Dallas Cowboys game, we got blown out in that game. You look at the Seattle Seahawks game, blown out. San Francisco 49ers, blown out. Miami Dolphins, blown out. All the other games we've competed. So we have to find a way that when we go up against the greater opposition, that we can still hang. A lot of that got to do with this offensive line. A lot of this got to do with the quarterback play. A lot of this has to do with not being able to run the ball and the injuries with Saquon Barkley and the rest of these guys up front. You know, a lot of people have been saying, and I'll bring up his statistics here as we talk about this, but a lot of people have been saying, you know, like, oh, you know, Tyrod Taylor, he's benefiting from having Saquon back. I want to see Daniel Jones with Saquon. And that's cool. But I think what a lot of people are ignoring, and even I haven't said this yet on my Twitter page yet, is what about if we get to see full games with Tyrod Taylor, with Andrew Thomas, with JMS, what this might look like? There's a play, and you can see it on my Twitter if you want to check it out. I retweeted and quote tweeted something that Lawrence Tynes put up today where he was talking about Mark Lewinsky and one of the other linemen picking up a stunt, which it was amazing. But also what I had to point notice to was look at how Tyrod manipulated the pocket. When he saw the pressure, he did not bail. He took one little baby step to his right and reset the pocket. And it helped those offensive linemen, you know, be able to get leverage on their blocks. And I think that's where Tyrod really excels in the pocket. You know, he does things with the leverage and the manipulation in the pocket to be able to help out his offensive lineman. I thought Eli was really good at that, although Eli was not mobile. And y'all have heard me talk about that on this channel, that the transition from Eli to Daniel Jones for some of those linemen, that granted those offensive lines were not good. But if you look at the regression of Nate Solder post-COVID years and post-Eli Manning, he was a much better left tackle when he was blocking for Eli Manning than he was when he was blocking for Daniel Jones, playing left tackle and right tackle. I'm not trying to sit up here and tell you Nate Solder is a good tackle, but quarterbacks do present things in the pocket that help out the offensive line. I've talked about this a bunch with Tom Brady and the switch from him and Jameis Winston in Tampa Bay. You know, Jameis Winston was sacked 47 times the year before Tom Brady got there. They went out there, they drafted Tristan Wirfs, and that was the only difference in the line at right tackle, and the sacks got cut in half. I am talking about the GOAT, so take that with a grain of salt for sure. But look at Tyrod Taylor's. I'm going to give you both his numbers here. This was against Buffalo. He was 24-36 for 200 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, only sacked 3 times on the day. And then these were the numbers against Washington in yesterday's matchup. He was 18 of 29, and he got off to a hot start. Kudos to Washington defensively for going out there and making some second-half adjustments, because in the second half, Tyrod Taylor, it seemed like he could not get things going for like the first 10 attempts. He ended up being 18 of 29 for 279 yards. 200 of his yards were in the first half. His quarterback rating was 116.9. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. We've been talking about this a lot on social media, that this looks a lot like what happened with Geno Smith in Seattle. And I spoke to this. A lot of people thought that Geno Smith was tanking, or the Seattle Seahawks were tanking when they brought in Geno Smith, right? And I told people, if you look at the 5 games that Geno Smith played in relief for Russell Wilson that year, he had a passer rating over 100 in every one of those games. We're starting to see a little bit of this stuff with Tyrod Taylor. And, you know, I think Tyrod is 34 now, I think. He's a little bit older of a quarterback, but if this can give him an opportunity to maybe go get some more playing time with another team, that would be amazing for him on his personal journey. I'm rooting for Tyrod Taylor. I don't know about y'all. I'm really rooting for Tyrod Taylor. And y'all know me over here with Daniel Jones. I'm very critical of Daniel Jones, and my belief in Daniel Jones has been wavered, but I always want to see Daniel Jones win. If he's suiting up and lacing up his cleats for the New York Giants, I know there are fans out there, and I didn't think that these kind of fans existed, but they do exist, that when Daniel Jones is out there playing quarterback, they would rather see him lose and play bad than they would rather see him get a win for the team that they love, which is very interesting to me. So for me, it's whatever quarterback is out there, I'd like to see this quarterback play well. Tyrod being a journeyman, when I think about, you know, all the stuff he's been through his career, he's only had 2 or 3 years as a starter in the NFL. He had the situation with the Los Angeles Chargers where they punctured his lung trying to give him an injection. You know, like, his career has been very shaky. I always thought he was a pretty good player. You know, he took the Buffalo Bills to the playoffs, and they pretty much, you know, parted ways with him and said, see you later. That's a tough career to deal with. So I'm rooting for Tyrod Taylor. And, man, he's just the swaggiest quarterback in the whole damn league. Like, you remember when Odell used to lace up and you see Odell in the visor, the scrunched up socks and all that? And you're just like, man, Odell is just exuding swag out here. Like, I really like seeing Tyrod Taylor lace up with that black visor, man. He just looks like he's ready to go. Poise. I really like what I'm seeing out of him. Now, Commanders ended up finishing the day. A little bit more about this defense, too. Commanders ended up finishing the day 1 of 15 on 3rd down. And I had to go back and look this up. Like, when's the last time we seen something like this? That's the 14th time in NFL history that something like that has happened. So that's just, I know the Beard, you know, his roadmap was all about 3rd down being over 50% when we did the preview show. To go 1 for 15 and not have a 3rd down conversion in the first half is absolutely ridiculous. We held them to 197 yards passing and 76 yards rushing, 4.1 yards per pass. They had 4 yards per carry. They only had 0.1 more yards per play when they were passing the ball. That is really pathetic. Washington's got to get back to the drawing board. And I gave Eric Bieniemy a lot of praise on this show, on the preview show, with a goal line play that he designed on the 1-yard line. And I was like, man, Brian Daboll needs to take a page out of his book, because this is an amazing play where he had Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson both on the field at the same time. He had Logan Thomas at the tight end on the right side. They fake counter to the left, and then you get Antonio Gibson open in the flats with no one out there. Like, the New York Giants were so puzzled and confused on that play. But Eric Bieniemy threw the ball way too much in this game. I'm not looking at Sam Howell's exact numbers, but it just seemed like in the first half they were just neglecting the run completely. Howell was sacked 6 times on the day. They had 10 penalties for 75 yards. You're not going to win football games playing like that on 3rd down and committing that many penalties. And Sam Howell finished the day with a quarterback rating, well, QBR, of 20.4. Now, to speak on Tyrod Taylor just a little bit here, I want to bring up 2 clips here from Brian Daboll in the press conference. And let me get to Talking Eco with the super chat here for $4.99. Yo, big salute to you, Talking Eco. You've been supporting the channel, man, for like this whole entire season. I definitely respect that. He says, I want to see Tyrod on the Falcons if he gets the chance next year. I also want to see more of those arrogant throws from DJ that Tyrod throws. Yeah, like Tyrod sees the one-on-one, and you'll see him. He'll look out there. He'll give like a little signal. If y'all haven't noticed this with Philadelphia, I got this from the quarterback school from JT O'Sullivan. He's been definitely tipping his cap with showing something that Jalen Hurts is doing. Every time Jalen Hurts throws deep on the one-on-one, when he sees that option on the outside, he waves his hand on his right hip. It's always a deep throw after that. And shout out to Philadelphia. That was a big win for them yesterday. But Talking Eco, I couldn't agree with you more. It's like, this is what we wanted to see out of Daniel Jones from the beginning of the year, is the deep shots. the whole shots. I've talked about the whole shots on this channel a lot, and those aren't when you're getting single high, because when Saquon is in the game, you're going to get a little bit more single high safety, which will allow the quarterback to be able to drop back and read it. Use your eyes to shift the safety to one side, throw the fade route or the go route on the opposite side. We're not seeing that from Daniel Jones, and I don't know why Daniel's kind of scared to do that. Like, you have the odds of those kind of plays turning into a turnover are pretty low. And you saw the one from Tyrod Taylor on 3rd and 10 that he threw to Hyatt. He's blanketed. It looks like it could be an interception. You got to trust your wide receivers to go out there and not allow those plays to be interceptions. So he's got to find a way to be able to throw these kind of passes deep. I think that's very important, and I'd like to see that too. Whoever the starting quarterback is out there, when you got speed on the field like Jalen Hyatt, Darius Slayton, you got to find ways to throw these go balls, man. It's just a must. So shout out to Talking Eco, man. Definitely appreciate you pulling up your presence here on this Monday afternoon. I really would not want to spend this Victory Monday nowhere else, man. Salute to all of y'all. Let me see. This is a good comment that I just see just by chance here. I like this one. Shout out to MYG Season. He says, running back is very replaceable. No, you're not replacing Saquon's ability, but it's easy to fill and replace. Just ask the Patriots. Yeah, I think it's replaceable. I wouldn't go as far as saying easy, because we saw the Giants try that a few times. When Saquon went out, we saw Booker. We saw, what was the other running back from the Falcons that we brought in who had a little bit of success too? He was a part of that duo over there. Deontay Foreman. Deontay Foreman was over there. Not Deontay Foreman. No, I'm thinking of Chicago Bears. Not Deontay Foreman. Somebody get me that in the chat. I can't remember who it was, but we've seen it with Wayne Gallman as well. We've seen it with Shane Vereen and other backs that we've tried to replace. I really want to remember that running back. He was kind of like a scat back. He reminded me a little bit of Warwick Dunn, a little bit with a little bit more power. There you go, Deontay Freeman. That's who it was. That's why somebody on Twitter was like, I thought we had Deontay Foreman on the team, because I've been clamoring. I want Deontay Foreman on this team with Saquon Barkley. It was Freeman. Freeman was a pretty good back, and we just signed him as a free agent too. Yeah, so I definitely agree with y'all on that. But just I don't think it's easy. I wouldn't go with easy. That's the word I would not use. But I do think you can find running backs and you can find productivity, especially when you have the quarterback. I think that's an important thing that people kind of gloss over. If you have the right quarterback, your running back does not have to be some world beater top 5 running back. But I think in this particular instance with the New York Giants, where we know we don't have an elite quarterback, whatever anyone thinks we have in Daniel Jones and in Tyrod Taylor, however you feel about that, I just think no one can sit here and say we have an elite quarterback back there in any case. So when you don't have an elite quarterback, you need a good running back, I think. And you see that with teams like Tennessee. You see that with teams like right now, I guess you could say you can see that with the Cleveland Browns when they have Nick Chubb out there, but that was kind of a product of what they had with Baker Mayfield. You need a good running back with those style of quarterbacks. Those guys, unless you have a mobile guy back there, which Daniel Jones is semi-mobile, but I still don't think Daniel Jones is completely a true mobile quarterback, but he can do some things with his legs. Tyrod, man, he also had 8 rushes for 25 yards in this game. He had a 20-yard run. I talked about the pocket manipulation. I'm very happy with the way that he manipulates the pocket, extends plays, can see the hits coming. It's very rare that you just see him completely get blindsided. You did see it once in this game for sure. Keeps his eyes up when he's scrambling. You saw it on the touchdown to Saquon Barkley. He kind of escaped the pocket, and that could have easily just been a run for a couple of yards, at least a good 5 to 10 yards. He sees Saquon coming across, getting into that flats. He dumps it off to him. Touchdown, Saquon Barkley. It's a beautiful thing. And you see that from Tyrod game in and game out now. Back-to-back games, you've seen him. He scrambles to throw the ball, and I like that from him, although he is a mobile quarterback. And on that 20-yard run, he goes right up the middle. He's dodging, making defenders miss. He gets a block coming across the middle. I think that was either Bellinger or maybe that was Darren Waller. He gets about a couple more yards on that run, so he shows you he can do all the things that these mobile quarterbacks do, but he also looks down the field. Kind of reminds me of some of the great quarterbacks. Like when you see a guy like Justin Herbert escape the pocket, he's looking down the field. I think the great quarterbacks in this league, the Joe Burrows, what I love about Joe Burrow, when he escapes the pocket, he's still looking down the field with both hands on the ball. And that's a mistake, I feel like, from Daniel Jones. When he escapes the pocket, sometimes you see that ball drift down around his waist, and then you can see defenders knock it out. We saw it in the last game, where Daniel was healthy in the Miami Dolphins game. So, I just think there's a few things that Tyrod Taylor does well that I really like, that are better suited for what this New York Giants team has personnel-wise and what they lack, and Tyrod sees that whole field. The deep shots, we really saw the maturation of Jalen Hyatt because of Tyrod Taylor and his willingness to take these shots down the field, his poise, his leadership. You saw him in the locker room afterwards giving a very just straightforward speech, you know what I'm saying, and just like right to it. It's about business with Tyrod. He's the kind of guy that like you would love to have this guy working for your organization, you know, and just dealing with pressure better. He just deals with the pressure better. And I'm going to highlight a statistic here, and then I also want to get to two of these videos from Brian Dable that I saw in the press conference that I thought stood out. This one came from ESN, I believe it is. And I told this dude, his picture kind of looks like he's a younger dude, but I told him I can remember like a year and a half or 2 years ago, this dude's tweets used to just like completely get on my nerves, you know, and I'm an honest dude. Y'all know me. I keep it funky over here, right? And I tweeted him lately, and I said, man, like your tweets this year, man, I really like your takes this year, man. You've really been on, you know, spot on with a lot of your takes. And he posted this one today, you know, and he said, Daniel Jones, and this was actually entering the game, you know, before entering the Washington game. He posted these numbers here, and he said, Daniel Jones has been sacked on 14% of his dropbacks this year. Tyrod Taylor has been sacked on 6% of his dropbacks. Jones has been pressured on 46% of his dropbacks. Tyrod Taylor has been pressured on 48% of his dropbacks. Do the math. It doesn't take a mathematician to see that Tyrod Taylor is playing better under pressure. It's as simple as that. So shout out to Ethan, ESN, for bringing those details to me. And they did update the numbers. If y'all want, once I get to those numbers, I'm going to retweet them out on my Twitter. We can continue this discussion on Twitter for sure. But I definitely wanted to bring some attention to that because I think that's an important statistic that not only does the eye test show you that Tyrod Taylor is dealing with the pressure a little bit better, but the numbers are showing it as well. So I just wanted to bring that up, bring a little bit of attention to that. Now, I want to show y'all two quick clips from Brian Dable's press conference after the game here. Let me make sure I got them. Oh, yeah. One of them was on why Tyrod Taylor is, you know, being able to get the deep ball to Jalen Hyatt. I thought this was a really good one.
Again, I told you we were going to play him. He made some plays. He's still got stuff to learn, but the way to learn it is to go out there and play. So he made it. You know, he made a couple good ones. I thought Tyrod, you know, gave him some good chances to make them too.
Why has Tyrod had success getting the ball downfield like this?
He's taking his drop back, and seen one-on-one coverage and let it go. And the receivers have made good plays.
You see how simple Brian Dable made that sound? There's nuances to that for me a little bit. You know, like it's not rocket science. It's just players making plays and the quarterback giving them an opportunity to make those plays. Now, I want to talk about Jalen Hyatt's snap count, too, because in this game, it's his second highest of the season at 71%. He was on the field. Like, these are the type of things that we want to see. And when you have a quarterback who goes out there and gives these players the opportunity to be able to make the plays, then you can instill confidence in the coaching staff. It's a one-hand wash the other type of situation. It's very easy. And I love how Brian Dable answered that question. I thought it was just a really great way to just, like, say, look, it's football. At the end of the day, these players are going out there and they're making plays. Now, they also talked in the press conference. They asked him about Tyrod Taylor making a case to be the starting quarterback, and I thought that Brian Dable left a little bit of, you know, his answer a little open-ended here. Check this one out.
Has Tyrod made any argument for being the quarterback when Daniel gets right?
Yeah, I'd just say Tyrod had a good game this game. He's a true pro, and I'm glad we got him.
It's a great answer. You know, I like that answer because, one, it doesn't degrade what Tyrod Taylor did for this offense, right? And I've seen some people saying, like, you know, oh, Tyrod didn't play a good game. He only had 70 yards in the second half. You know, he's put up 14 points in one game, 9 in the other. Daniel Jones put up 31 in a game against the Cardinals. And it's like, is that how y'all really look at football? Like, we cannot continue to look at football like that. That's not the way. Each game is very different. Game plans are very different. And let's not forget that Tyrod Taylor is a backup quarterback, man. This dude was not paid big money to come in here and be a starter. He was paid to come in here and be a guy who knows the system, and if something were to happen to the starting quarterback, then he would be able to come in and give your team a chance to win games. We talked about this on the last Giant Overreaction show, and this was actually one of my tweets, right? I said, even if you think the offense looked the same under Tyrod, that is a huge indictment on paying Jones $160 million when Tyrod is making $5 million per year. It's really as simple as that, right? No matter what kind of argument you want to make that Tyrod Taylor is not playing as good as Daniel Jones, I'm okay with that. That's fine with me, right? But Tyrod Taylor was not brought in here to be the starter, okay? And then you see a guy go out there and you see him put up these numbers right here, 279 yards. I went back and I briefly looked at the game logs from Daniel Jones in the past 5 years, right? because I saw CBS had said that they said including playoffs, and I don't think that was right. I think it was if you take away the playoffs, it's one game. There's one game in Daniel Jones' career where he has over 200 yards and has 2 touchdowns and no interceptions in the regular season. I think that there's 2 games if you include the playoffs, because he had against the Minnesota Vikings, I believe he had that. And that was an outstanding game by Daniel Jones. My whole thing over here has been consistency with Daniel Jones. And listen, y'all, I promise, if you don't like, those conversations, you're not going to like this segment. You're not going to like this whole day of Giant Overreaction, because I'm talking about the quarterbacks a lot today. And, as a guy who played quarterback in high school, I'm infatuated with the quarterback position. That's just what I do. I just really like talking about offensive skill players in the quarterback position. But to me, it's been consistency with Daniel Jones. I love when I get these big games from Daniel Jones. The 5-touchdown game against the Washington Commanders. The big win against the Minnesota Vikings in the playoffs. You had the 4-touchdown game against the Jets and the Detroit Lions in 2019. I love those games. The Saints game in 2020, where he came back in the fourth quarter. I think that was 2020, I believe. Fourth quarter comeback and whatnot. The game against the Packers, the Ravens last year. All these fourth quarter comebacks. The Jacksonville Jaguars game where Daniel Jones put up over 100 yards rushing. These are big games from him. The problem is in between those games, you're not getting good games. You cannot go 38 straight starts without having back-to-back games with at least 2 passing touchdowns. I just think that that's a very egregious stat that's like, it's alarming. It makes you go, damn, like if Tyrod goes out here next week and gets the start and puts up 2 touchdowns, y'all are going to be hearing it from me on this channel come that Monday overreaction. It's just what it is. And it's frustrating because we paid this quarterback this big enough contract. We paid him like he was a franchise quarterback, at least for the time being. But they did give the 2-year out, which lets you know how they really felt about it, to be honest, And he comes in here and you see a regression in the second year of the system. It's really disheartening. And I'm not one of those guys that's going to ignore all the factors that are going on around Daniel Jones, right? Saquon Barkley got hurt in that second game, didn't appear in the third game. Offensive line, Daniel Jones is a completely different quarterback when Andrew Thomas is out there on the field. I think that those kind of things don't affect Tyrod Taylor as much, which is really interesting. Like, Tyrod Taylor's out here with this makeshift offensive line, and you got Giants fans on social media acting like this makeshift offensive line is the reason why. I don't get that. You could say it's a combination, because it is a combination, right? These guys are going out there giving maximum effort. Quarterbacks out there, he knows. He got to see this for 4 games on the sideline where he's watching Daniel Jones get his teeth kicked in by every defense. A game where Daniel Jones was sacked 10 times, 9 times in the game, 6 times the following week, and then he watches that same quarterback end up getting knocked out of the game with a neck injury. You got to understand that Tyrod is going out there with urgency. It's like if I jump on the highway and I see 5 accidents as I'm on my way to work, I'm going to slow down a little bit. And I think that's what Tyrod is doing. He's able to see it and assess it from the sidelines, and now when he's getting on the field, he's able to assess it even better. I'm sure that these players are watching what's going on social media and seeing that fans are just completely begging the quarterback to throw the ball down the field. So he's saying, screw it, and he's throwing the ball down the field. I got to give my respect and my kudos to Tyrod Taylor, because he's definitely doing what is necessary for this job for the New York Giants to win games. And I'm going to tell you straight up, man, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we got out of Buffalo and we didn't get that win. Could you imagine the momentum that we would have right now? Instead of sitting at 2-5, sitting at 3-4, we'd be ready to go going up against the Jets at home in the MetLife Bowl. And then we got the Raiders. We got a couple other games on the schedule that we can win against, like maybe the Saints, maybe the Packers. And then if you get like a couple of fluke wins here, the New York Giants are right back in the mix. Instead, it came down to a 1-yard play from the goal line that we could not convert in both halves of the game. That part of it, there's regret. There is regret for me, because I'm just like, man, that would have been completely amazing to be able to walk away with having a backup quarterback come in here and win 2 straight games for you. Kind of remind me of the Dallas Cowboys when Cooper Rush came out there, and he ended up winning 3 straight games with the Dallas Cowboys. And then Dak Prescott comes back in, and he starts throwing some interceptions. I know people were kind of looking at it like the same exact way that Giants fans are looking at it today, whether it be an overreaction or not. We don't know. And speaking of these overreactions, let's get to them, man. I'm really liking the pace of this show so far. You know, I've gotten off a lot of these thoughts already in the first 48 minutes. Shout out to the 142 across all platforms right now in the building, rocking out with me, man. I definitely appreciate you. If you want to continue this discussion over on Twitter when I'm done this stream, probably in about an hour here or so, you can hit me up at Awthentik, spelled funky like that. And just to spread a little bit of good news here too, man. Like, the Beard brought this up on our last show. You know, I had the blessing and the luxury to work with Fred Yone and do some sound design for the Killers of the Flower Moon film that just came out with Leonardo DiCaprio and directed by Martin Scorsese. And Fred Yone texted me yesterday, y'all. And, like, I just thought that some of these songs made the movie. And Fred texted me yesterday, and, man, I was smiling ear to ear. We got 3 songs that made the soundtrack for the movie Killers of the Flower Moon. So when you check that movie out, I'll make sure to put some of the links in the comments here too to some of these songs on Apple Music. It was chilling hearing some of these songs, man. So, like, I just wanted to spread some good news. It's been a great week for me, man. Like, it's really been a great week. I'm really closing out this move. I got just a few more things, and then y'all won't have to see this stupid stairwell back here in the back. Get my setup right. My studio's starting to come together, man. Shout out to everybody that's helped me, man. A couple of my homies who have lent me some trucks and whatnot, and the people that have helped me, you know, bring stuff over. The Beard definitely lending his hand. And, you know, my girl, man, and her uncle Carlos, who's been helping us out a ton. Like, yo, you can't do this on your own. Everything is a team effort, man, and this week has been a really good week. And I got a little bit stuff more to move here today, and I'm looking forward to it, man. Like, the Giants win, like I said, man, it really will set your week right. Like, things just feel like they're going the right way. And for me, man, I'm always going to root for a win. And we got our win on Sunday. It's a beautiful thing. I feel good about it. And I live in Washington, D.C. on North Capitol, man. Like, for those of y'all that don't know. So to, like, be able to just, like, go to the store, like, walk into the Walmart, like, with my jersey on like this, and people just looking at me. You know, I always got to park my car across the street, across North Capitol, and I'll be standing waiting for traffic. It's one of the most busiest roads in D.C. I'll be waiting for traffic, and I can see people driving by looking at me through their car like, this mother. And it's a great feeling, man. It really is a great feeling. So for those of y'all that are having a great week already, man, salute to y'all. Nothing but blessings y'all way, man. And hopefully the New York Giants can find a way to, you know, stack some W's here, man, and get us back into that win column. If we could come out of this little stretch, I heard Ron Effect talk about this before we entered the Washington game. He was like, man, I think these are 3 winnable games. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the New York Giants are going to go out here and win 3 games. If that happens, I think the New York Giants can be right back in the mix to at least try to play some of the, you know, upper tier competition and maybe come away with a sneaky win. And who knows? At the beginning of the year, I said we were going to finish the year 8-9, and I put that little star next to us saying that possibly that means we'll make the playoffs. So we'll see how that goes. Now, for those of y'all that don't know how we do over here on the Giant Overreaction, all quarterback-related questions or statements today from Twitter, and we got one about the coach. The way we do this is we put up statements on the screen. When you see the statement on the screen, if indeed you think it is an overreaction that you're seeing on the screen, you can put an O in the chat to represent you think that's an overreaction. If you think the statement on the screen is completely accurate, then you can put a U in the chat that represents you're going to be taking the under. And if you need a little bit more time and you don't know where your thoughts are on the statement on the screen, you can take the push, and you can represent the push by putting a P in the chat one time. So now y'all know the rules for those of y'all that are new here. And we do this 4 times a week, y'all. So, like, if you dig in the vibes, man, make sure you hit the subscribe button. That stuff does go a long way. We like to welcome anybody to the family. You know, this is a open platform for everybody to share their thoughts on. And you know what? I promise y'all, this week, I'm just going to do straight Q&A with y'all. Just straight up, like, hear from the fam. That's what we need, one of those type of shows. Maybe that'll be tonight, actually. Maybe we do a late night vibe. Chris Peace has always been telling me, man, what's up with the late night vibes, man? Let's just play some music, talk some Giants football and whatnot. So maybe we do that late tonight. Maybe we set up a stream for, like, I don't know what y'all bedtime like. My bedtime be like 3, 4 in the morning every night. And these days I'm waking up at like 9 a.m. after going to bed at like 4 in the morning. But, you know, we'll try to set that one up maybe for like a 9 o'clock, maybe a 10 o'clock type of vibe or something like that. And don't forget to check us out tomorrow. We're going to be recapping both NFC East games. There was only 2 games this week, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Miami Dolphins, and then our game versus the Commanders. And then Thursday, we'll be doing a preview show for Week 8. Things are definitely getting real interesting here. And don't forget us every Sunday. We do fantasy football talk as well. That show's called The Parlay. That one's at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, let's get off into this first Giant Overreaction, y'all. All right, this one comes from my good brother, man, Ash Money, as we like to call him. You know, people like to change their name sometimes and whatnot, and I always go off what I met him as. Shout out to my homie G Money, who he changed his name one time, and I was like, bro, to that casket dips, you're going to be G Money. Ash Money says, I've been told all season that Daniel Jones' contract is a discount, yet I see a quarterback making $5 million matching his production. Y'all think that this statement is an overreaction? I will give Daniel Jones this benefit of the doubt that he's only played a couple of games this season after being signed to the $160 million contract, $40 million a year. But do y'all think that this is an overreaction? Or do you think that, like, you agree with this statement that Daniel Jones' contract really isn't looking like a discount right now? I'll give y'all a little bit of time to gather your thoughts up here, man, and let's drop the Beard's favorite beat in the background one time while y'all get to do that one time. I'm going to keep my eyes on the chat. Let's see what y'all talking one time. I can't wait to get back into my studio, man, with my real mixing console and whatnot. Like, having to pull faders with a mouse and whatnot, and it's just annoying. Normally, I got a nice little mixer right here, man. It has like about a good 16 faders on it, allow me to do my sounds and do all that stuff. I've been clicking air horns and doing the most right now. Let's see what the chat's saying though one time. Oh man, this is Soldier Boy right here. This is big Soldier Boy right here. Hyphen Wade says about 10:30. Maybe we do that stream around 10:30. That's what's up. Shout out Darius Smith one time in the building, man. Appreciate you pulling up, fam. Michael Knight said 12 a.m. What's going on, brother? Kevin the PRF in the building. He says he's taking the under, representing those Commanders. Tough loss for y'all. Joe Schmo 84 in the building agrees with the statement on the screen, taking the under. Alvaro taking that under as well. Shout out to Arturo one time in the building. He says, I feel like Tyrod reads the opponent's defense lineup better than DJ. What does DJ have that Tyrod doesn't? Boy, put me on the spot right there, right? I'm going to tell you like this. What does Daniel Jones have that Tyrod doesn't? Straight line speed. That's it. That's the only thing I can say. Maybe a bigger arm, but he's not utilizing that arm the same way, so I can't give him that. But I'll give him the straight line speed over Tyrod Taylor. My man, the Beard, is in the chat one time. He agrees with the statement on the screen. He's taking the under. Simeon taking that same under with him. Shout out to Chance Chambers, who said, this is spot on. Big dog status in the building one time. What's going on, brother? Hope all is well. Is taking the under as well. Kevin taking the under as well. What's going on, fam? Good to see you out here. Let me see. Twin in the building. Twin said that's not a discount. Shout out to Twin one time. Gregory representing them Cowboys taking the under. They on a bye week this week. G-Man is taking the under as well with a couple of U's on the Soldier Boy vibes. Michael Knight taking the under as well. Heart of a Giant taking the under. We ain't got 1-0, yo. Shout out to Ash Money with the dope tweet of the day so far. OG Knockout taking the under as well. And let me get this right here. All right. I see my man Simeon had something to say one time about Geno Smith. He said Geno Smith's contract is looking like a discount. Man, this is why we all family up in here, y'all, because y'all come in here and y'all drop bars, man. Y'all, you know, this is a learning experience for me as well, man. I love when y'all bring stuff to the table that's like this. This is real, man. This is bringing the legs to the table one time. Talking Eco says leaning under, but I want to take the push because I want to see how DJ responds after all this. I'm not mad at that take right there. I like that. I really do like that. Let me see what else we got here. Hyphen Wade is taking the under as well, furthest from a discount. May not be top dollar, but it's a lot to give. I agree with you on that. Shout out Evan Spitzberg in the building one time. He's taking the under with Zach G as well. Okay, we got our first overreaction of the day. Comes from my good homie, No Mets, No Nets, No Jets, representing that 20902 one time in the building. He says the money is relative. We shouldn't look at the money from a regular person's standpoint, and his contract doesn't handicap us. I can agree with you on that. You know, when you look at it across the league in comparison to quarterbacks, it's not a crippling contract, right? But if you look at what Ash Money is saying here, he's not really talking about it from a standpoint like that. I think Ash Money is more just saying that you're getting the same productivity from a quarterback who's making $5 million, which kind of speaks to the point that I was saying in the offseason. And I would say to anybody who's new here that hasn't seen the videos that I created in the offseason, they're very short views. They're like 2 minutes. They were created for Twitter, right? And one of the first ones that I made, the first take that I said was that, you know, there are a lot of fans out there that did not want to sign Daniel Jones and wanted to go to the option of either a bridge quarterback or drafting a rookie quarterback and resetting the rookie contract clock. Ash Money's tweet, I think, speaks a lot to that. I've been told all season that Daniel Jones' contract is a discount. Now, I do agree with what No Mets, No Nets is saying right here about the contract, right? Like, yeah, we shouldn't look at the money from a regular person's standpoint. But at the end of the day, when you pay the quarterback that franchise type of money, we can't look at it like it's a discount. I don't even think you look at it like it's a discount right now. You think you could say confidently right now, no Mets, no Nets, no Jets, that this contract is looking like a discount right now? Let me know what you're thinking on that. I'm gonna keep my eye out for your response in the chat one time. And Caden Wade also agrees with no Mets, no Nets, no Jets. He says it's an overreaction as well. He says, let's see how DJ looks with AT and SB with him. You know, and I kind of said that a little while ago. Like, yeah, we've been saying that for a while about Daniel Jones. Like, oh, but we need Saquon. Oh, but we need AT. And that's why a lot of people who are on the opposite side of the fence, they're like, you need everything perfect surrounding Daniel Jones for him to be a quarterback who's going to see success in this league. I saw Daniel Jones with Andrew Thomas last year and Saquon Barkley. It yielded 15 touchdowns through the air and 7 on the ground. It was a good year. It was not a great year like a lot of people like to say, but it was a really good year. When you add that playoff win on there, you know, against the Minnesota Vikings, I think that you could be pushing towards a great year there. I would say it's banging on the ceiling of great, but it wasn't great for me. It was good, right? But at the end of the day, why can't we use this same excuse for Tyrod Taylor now? Tyrod Taylor has 2 touchdowns in 2 games. Daniel Jones has 2 touchdowns in 4 appearances already now? 5 appearances? I think it was 5 appearances, actually. Yeah, it was 5 appearances. 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, right? So for as much as you want to see Daniel Jones with Andrew Thomas and Saquon Barkley, I'm kind of on the opposite fence with this. I would like to see Tyrod Taylor with Andrew Thomas, JMS, Saquon Barkley, a fully healthy New York Giants team. I think that would be we could really get a good assessment of what's going on with the quarterback position if we got to see Tyrod through maybe a 2 to 3 game stretch with those guys as well. We've seen Daniel Jones with Saquon Barkley now for at least 2 full seasons, right, of football. So I feel you, but I can't say it's an overreaction. NYG season also says it's an overreaction. He says, but in present day, it's easy to say they could have just went with Tyrod. Any starter level quarterback is getting that all day. Yeah, you know, I brought this up and it pained me to talk about this. You know, Jameis Winston, who I don't think is some great quarterback, but he is one of, I believe, just 26 times a quarterback has thrown for 5,000 yards. Jameis Winston in 2019 threw for 5,000 yards. And yes, he threw 30 interceptions, which is a shit ton of interceptions, right? He had 33 touchdowns, and he had a good roster over there. You know, it's not like he had lack of weapons or anything like that. Tom Brady comes in, they bring in Gronkowski, Leonard Fournette, and they end up winning the Super Bowl with that same roster the next year. So we know that roster was pretty much a quarterback away, right? But Jameis Winston, when he went to go sign his deal with the New Orleans Saints in that offseason, they gave him a contract that was worth $5 million. He came back that year. He ended up getting the starting job. He threw for 14 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and he ended up getting hurt. They came back and offered him a contract for $14 million. I understand where the quarterback market is. I don't think it would have been a disservice to the quarterback market to pay Daniel Jones $30 million. You know, I forget who it was that brought up the Geno Smith contract earlier. Geno Smith and Daniel Jones were pretty much in the exact same scenario, except Daniel Jones' leash was a lot longer with New York, right? Geno Smith, and Geno Smith was a veteran. He was an older quarterback, right? They gave him $28 million. They didn't go out there and give him $40 million off 1 year of production because, for me, this was the big mistake that the New York Giants made. They paid Daniel Jones off of projection. They did not pay him off of his resume. And if you look at every quarterback contract from Joe Burrow to Lamar Jackson to Justin Herbert to Deshaun Watson, to every quarterback who signed a contract, even Derek Carr, who is struggling right now, has plenty of 4,000-yard seasons. They were all paid off of a resume. Daniel Jones was paid off of projection and a year of work on his resume. Now, imagine if you go to apply for a job and they want to know your experience and you have 1 year of experience. It's not going to say that much. So that's the part where I disagree with it. You know, I just think that with the way that Daniel Jones played, we all knew that coaching was definitely a big reason to why Daniel Jones was able to show his true skill set last year. I think that they could have franchise tagged him and waited another year to try to figure it out, because if they would have franchise tagged him and he came out and he played the way he's played so far this season, it'd be a no-brainer. You wouldn't bring him back next year. It'd be a no-brainer. Instead, you're now in, I believe it's 82 million maybe, 90 million guaranteed. It was a little egregious for me. I'm going to keep it funky with you. Shout out to Talking Sports with Landon one time in the building, man. Hope all is well on this Monday afternoon. I don't know if you're a Giants fan or not, but most Giants fans today are smiling ear to ear, man. It's feeling real good up here. Lamamba James is taking the under as well. Chance Chambers says it's only a discount when compared to Watson's awful contract. At least Daniel Jones will play if he can. Yeah, and Watson, he was coming off one of his better games. A 2-year lull is tough. That's tough for him. But he still got paid off of productivity that he did before the whole, the case situation that he had and whatnot, and 2 years out of football. And I think they're just waiting for him to get back to his old ways, which might not ever happen, and especially when you can't find your way out on the field. He re-aggravated the injury on Sunday, and that was a close game they were in. It's tough to see for a Cleveland Browns fan to see the quarterback go down, and you got $200 million invested. But then when you look at the value of the contract, $200 million to Daniel Jones, $90 million guaranteed. At no point has Daniel Jones been half the quarterback that Deshaun Watson is. I just got to keep it funky. Lou Mateo's taking the push. I think that's a smart take right there. Talking sports with Landon said, "Go Giants." Salute to you, brother. Welcome to the family, man. If you're digging the vibe, stick around, man. Hit that subscribe button. Marjorie says DJ has legs, and I believe that was an answer to what he has over Tyrod Taylor. And no Mets, no Nets, no Jets says stronger arm. I'm with you on that. Shout out to Arturo in the building one time. He says, I feel like Tyrod reads the opponent's defense lineup better than DJ. What does DJ have that Tyrod doesn't? And that was the question that we brought a little bit of focus to. I wish I could have got to it a little earlier before you sent the super chat, but nonetheless, we definitely appreciate that over here at Awthentik in the Beard. Shout out Sabrina in the building. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope all is well, Sabrina, on this Monday afternoon. Sabrina's taking the push one time. Kevin says, if only you could give DJ Tyrod's understanding of the offense. I know. And his gutsiness, his fearlessness. I love that about Tyrod Taylor. He's not scared to throw the ball down the field. That's a great point, Kevin. Let me see. I am Jarrell says DJ can take a hit better with the laughing emoji. Right, though. Because Tyrod, every time Tyrod gets tackled hard, let me tell you what it reminds me of. And I've been talking about this whole Jamaican bobsled stuff for a little while here with the Cool Runnings video we put out a couple of weeks back and whatnot. And, the whole I see pride, I see power. It is not about what I see. It is about what you see. Every time Tyrod Taylor takes a hit, it reminds me of when the Jamaican bobsled and Cool Runnings crashed, right? And Doris was sideways. And it's like he has no muscles in his neck. It's like his whole face is turned to the side and he's just looking up and he's like, yeah, I must finish the race. It seems like that's what Tyrod has been doing lately. So big shout out to Tyrod. Big Dog Status said Tyrod's accuracy is a little bit better. At times. I think overall, Daniel Jones is probably the more accurate quarterback. I'll say that. Darius Smith says, I will say it's an overreaction. We're talking about a starting quarterback versus a backup quarterback. Still, that backup is playing well for what he is being asked to do. Let me just reread what Ash Money said. I've been told all season that Daniel Jones' contract is a discount, yet I see a quarterback making $5 million matching his production. Darius Smith says, I will say it's an overreaction. We're talking about a starting quarterback versus a backup quarterback. That backup is playing well for what he's being asked to do. The backup is playing better than the starter, bro. I don't understand how that leans you towards being an overreaction. He also continues, Darius says, and the money is guaranteed for 2, not 4. Yeah, the money guaranteed for 2 years is $90 million. That's not a good thing for the New York Giants. You could have used that money to build an offensive line if you would have paid the quarterback $5 million. And I'm very well-versed with this situation because I talked about it all offseason, right? The Giants, okay, when they went into the year, I was all about going after a guy like Marcus Mariota, and it might not look too great in hindsight right now with the way Marcus played in the preseason for the Philadelphia Eagles. He did not look good. I almost thought he was on the bubble of the roster, possibly a chance of being cut. But I used Marcus Mariota as an example. I used Gardner Minshew as an example. And, man, let's just look at the stats real quick because Gardner had a big game this past week. Let me take a look at this because I want to get these numbers accurate. Let's just go Gardner's game logs. So far in 2023, Gardner Minshew has 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. His QBR right now is tied for 10th in the NFL. Do you remember how much people talked about QBR with Daniel Jones last year? And it reminds me of another quarterback that I was talking about as far as a bridge guy you could bring in, which was Jacoby Brissett, who was also top 10 in QBR last year. Being good at QBR says that the coach is trying to keep things tight. Unless you're playing within a reckless offense, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, where these guys stretch the field, then I take QBR, with a lot of validity. But when it's offenses that are using game managers, it's hard to use QBR as a really good stat. Now, against the Cleveland Browns, he ended up taking a loss there, 39-38. His QBR was 79.8. His quarterback rating was 119.4. We're talking about Gardner Minshew here. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He had 305 yards, man. He's a guy that could have came in here. Gardner Minshew right now is making $3 million a year. You can save that kind of money, and you use that to build the offensive line. The New York Giants spent no money on the offensive line in the offseason. The year prior to, they spent a little bit of money on Mark Lewinsky, where he got a 3-year, $18 million deal. That's it. When you tie this kind of money to the quarterback, when you're talking 10 to 15% of your salary cap being invested in the quarterback, that quarterback has to be able to go above and beyond what's going on that roster. I don't completely fault Joe Schoen for the way that he operated in the offseason, right? Because he didn't have many choices. Dave Gettleman did not leave us with a great cap situation, so it's going to take you a couple years to get out of this. He pretty much, went with the plan of, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to draft a bunch of rookies. We're going to try to get guys who can be day one starters that can come in here and play early, and we'll develop them as they're playing. That's Joe Schoen's whole model. He's trying to win while rebuilding, which was a red flag for me right off the bat. A lot of people didn't want to just rip the Band-Aid off and just part ways with the quarterback. And for me, I've wavered my opinions a lot on this channel. I'll keep it real with you. Like, I entered in 2019. I saw Daniel Jones in the preseason, 80% completion percentage, throwing the ball down the field. I saw him get in the regular season after Eli Manning was benched after 2 games, and I'm a huge Eli Manning supporter. I did not agree with that decision to bench Eli Manning 2 years into the season, especially when you were paying him $20 million to come back that year, right? They bench him. Daniel Jones comes out against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He has the game of his life. Balls out. I'm starting to feel like maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe we shouldn't have committed to Eli Manning for this year, and maybe Daniel Jones is the guy. They end up giving him the keys to the Jeep. He ends up driving it for the rest of the year. You saw a quarterback who could do some things, 24 touchdowns. I believe it was 12 interceptions that year. But he had 19 fumbles, 11 of them lost, 6 of them scoop and scored for a touchdown, right? Those were red flags for me, right? But I was still like, it's a rookie. I'm looking at it like you can correct these type of mistakes. By the time we get to year 3, Daniel Jones is going to be a quarterback. And I said this, he'll be better than Josh Allen, because in 2019, Josh Allen was in the league now for 2 seasons. His completion percentage was under 60 for both of those years. He was not looking like the guy he is today. I was looking at it like, man, Daniel Jones is accurate. He can throw the ball down the field. He's safer. I thought he was going to be a better quarterback. By year 3, if you were following his channel, you knew what was up. I was completely off the Daniel Jones train. I was like, there's no way a quarterback can go out here and not put up over 12 touchdowns in back-to-back seasons. This is not NFL work and productivity. I don't care what's going on around him. I looked at it like, this is not a good look. Year 4 comes around. I'm looking at it like I didn't want to sign the 5th year, the 5th year option when Joe Schoen and them came around in the 5th year, right? I'm looking at it like they made the right decision. And then Daniel Jones goes out there and he plays good football, like really good football. He was a part of leading this team to the playoffs. And I'm like starting to second guess myself a little bit there. And I'm just starting to say now, Daniel Jones is this franchise quarterback. That's how I ended the year. That Daniel Jones is this franchise quarterback, and that he can be a franchise quarterback moving forward. If you use 2022 as the launch pad, and let's say that's the floor for the Brian Daboll system with Daniel Jones at quarterback, I thought it could get better. I never in a million years thought we'd come out this year, even against this steep competition we're going against, that Daniel Jones' regression would be the way it is. I just did not think that. But at the same time, I did not have full faith. I really didn't. I really did not. Shout out to No Mets, No Nets, No Jets one time in the building for the $4.99 super chat. He says, not a discount, but it's also not market value for a franchise quarterback. What up, AATB? We got to win. Shout out to the 20902, man. Yeah, I grew up in the 20902, man. So big shout out to the 20902. Shout out to No Mets, No Nets, No Jets, man, supporting the channel, bro. I really appreciate that. No Mets, No Nets, No Jets. You pretty much a day one over here, man. I think you showed up like 2020, 2021 possibly, man. You day one over here, bro. You always good in my books. I always appreciate your support, man, and the conversations that we have over here. Shout out JCNYC one time for the $5 super chat. He said, did Daboll not work with Tyrod in the past? Why did he pay DJ if Tyrod's better? I mean, I know you were quarterback from the past take. So Daboll did not coach Tyrod in 2017 in Buffalo. I can't remember if Daboll was there or not. But I know that he was not an OC over there, and he did not coach Tyrod. Joe Schoen was a part of the front office, I think. To me, this just me speculating, right? I don't think that Daniel Jones was Brian Daboll's guy. I just think that the way you see Brian Daboll treating – I don't think that Tyrod Taylor is Brian Daboll's guy either, though. the way that I saw, the whole situation unravel on the sidelines where he throws the Microsoft Surface down on the bench next to the coach and whatnot, and just the way he be looking, to me, he's treating Daniel Jones a little bit like a stepchild a little bit. It's like, that ain't my guy. Go look at the way that Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott's relationship is when Dak Prescott is struggling. You can look at 2 games ago. I believe that was against the San Francisco 49ers. When Dak Prescott's out there struggling, Mike McCarthy is consoling him, and trying to figure out how we're going to get to better football. And I just don't see that with Brian Daboll. I mean, granted, there are personality differences between these two coaches. Brian Daboll's more of a fiery guy over a Mike McCarthy for sure. But that's just me speculating. But to me, it's a no-brainer that Tyrod Taylor would have been the better option, to be honest. I mean, and a lot of it does have to do with the money, but I just think that there's no way you could have let Daniel Jones go after a playoff win. I told this to the homies in the spaces the other day. I don't fault any fan that wanted to run it back with Daniel Jones and the rest of the crew. Like, we won a playoff game, and things were looking good. You won 9 games, and there were some games there you could have got to 10 wins. The tie against Washington, that should have been a W. The New York Giants in the second half of regulation in that game, they were pathetic. End up, tying the game and whatnot. And then, in overtime, we end up not scoring and you leave with a tie. It's like, it was bad that game. But you could have won that one. Could have gave you 10 wins. Maybe there's another one out there that the Giants had an opportunity to win as well. I thought the last game of the season against the Philadelphia Eagles, even though a lot of that was with the backups in, that was an opportunity for the Giants to win another game as well, too. So who knows? You could have been around 11 wins, and there's no way that you're going to be able to just allow your quarterback to walk. I always tell people, like, tell me the other situation where that happened. Tell me where a quarterback won a playoff game on his rookie deal, pretty much, right? And the team was like, yeah, we're going to part ways with you. It might have happened with a veteran. It happened with Tyrod Taylor in Buffalo. He was a veteran, but that doesn't happen too much. So I don't know why, but I do think Mara has his hand in the cookie jar a little bit here when it comes to Daniel Jones and that contract. We saw the contract go down to the wire, and that's exactly, when the contract was signed. Shout out my guy OG Knockout one time. He said they should have paid him because of his neck. Shouldn't have, I'd imagine is what he's saying. Yeah, they did ignore the neck injury, and I started to ignore it too because Daniel Jones ends up having a good year. The neck injury was in 2021. 2022, he has a good year. You don't have to worry about nothing that has to do anything with an injury with Daniel Jones. The part to me why they shouldn't have paid him the money was that was his first season where he hadn't had an injury. And now you're looking at 5 seasons of Daniel Jones now, and 4 of them have injuries on them. So to me, that's an injury prone type of player, to be honest. More than a guy like Saquon Barkley, who's taking more punishment, more hits, and plays the running back position. Both of those guys are definitely injury prone players. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets says $40 million was the going rate for hope and potential. I broke down the Geno Smith contract, and I just don't agree with that. Derek Carr ended up getting $40 million. His resume looked a lot better than Daniel Jones. It's not looking too good for him right now with the Saints. He is dealing with some injuries at left tackle and right tackle, but me, man, I don't make up excuses for these quarterbacks. They bring you in to go above and beyond what's happening around you in your circumstances, and both those quarterbacks ain't doing it. Derek Carr's not living up to the contract, and neither is Daniel Jones. Shout out to Payback NYC one time for the $2 super chat. He said Tyrod doesn't panic as quickly if things break down. I 1,000% agree with you on that. Like, Tyrod just shows poise, and he's comfortable, competence in the pocket. He manipulates. I'm telling y'all, go look at that play. Go search at Awthentik and then search Lawrence Tynes. He's @kicks4, I believe, on Twitter. And just look at that tweet, or just go to Lawrence Tynes' tweets. You'll see it on there. He put up a play where he was praising the offensive lineman, and I just had the nuance to notice, like, look at Tyrod on his play. Little baby step. Great pocket manipulation that you only see from veteran quarterbacks in this league. Shout out to Payback NYC, man. Appreciate you pulling up and spending your Monday afternoon with your boy Awthentik talking some New York Giants football, y'all. I would not want to be nowhere else, y'all. I appreciate all of y'all pulling up, all y'all in the building, over 150 for this entire stream. Definitely appreciate that. All right, let me scroll down. I just want to get to all the people that sent in the super chats here to jump this line one time. Shout out Zach G one time. He said ESPN Radio NY hosts say Tyrod is above DJ. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that take right now. I'm not mad at that. Last year it felt like Daniel Jones was a little bit more durable and could take the hits, like somebody said earlier in the chat, right? Tyrod does just about everything better. And it's not like it's like way better, but when you look at value, I look at value, right? Like, I always tell Giants content creators, if you're going to, like, join in and do some kind of content for the Giants community, make sure you bring value, right? Because if let's say, shout out to Entertainer who does play-by-play and breaks down the game better than anybody in the Giants community right now. Like, I love Tanner's play-by-plays. He's so good at that, right? If you going to come out here and do play-by-play, make sure your value is equal or greater than Entertainer, right? If you're going to come out here and try to do a show that's like the Giant overreaction, which when I started this show, nobody was doing this over here. Nobody was taking takes from national media, from Twitter, and responding to them on a show. So if you're going to do it and try to copy that way, make sure you do it better than Awthentik. If you're going to break down offensive line play, make sure you do it better than Talking Giants and Bobby and them over there, right? If you're going to talk about college prospects and you're going to talk about players the New York Giants should be drafting, make sure you do it better than Sal and my dude Monty over there where he's a Giant, right? Okay, if you're going to bring the funny, the humor, the side of the New York Giants type of stuff, make sure you're doing it like Hefe does it over there with NY Revival. It's the same thing at the quarterback position. It's value. And when you look at Tyrod Taylor's contract and the value he's bringing to this team within that contract, it is much greater than the value that Daniel Jones is bringing with that contract looming over his head right now. And I wish both these quarterbacks well. I'll keep it real with you. I wish them both well. Like, in an ideal situation, Daniel Jones comes out this year and he completely balled out, and right now he's sitting on 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But that's not how the cookie crumbled. That's just what happened, Shout out to Payback NYC one time in the building for another $2 super chat, man. Salute to you. We appreciate you supporting the channel over here, brother. G-Men wouldn't get Baker because he publicly challenged 8. That's a fact. And Baker Mayfield was definitely a viable option for the New York Giants. Let me take a look at Baker's contract right here. Let's see what Baker Mayfield's getting paid. Baker Mayfield is on a 1-year, $4 million contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now. Do you know how angry that man must be right now looking at Daniel Jones getting paid $40 million a year, $90 million guaranteed? Do you know how angry that probably makes Baker Mayfield that night, who retracted his statements a little bit when he attacked Daniel Jones? This is why I love y'all in the community, man. This is a great point right here. I've never looked up Baker's contract, and when I get to Twitter and started talking about that, they're not going to like that one too much. Shout out to the homie, man, Payback NYC, though, man. Definitely appreciate that. And also shout out to JC NYC in the building. He said Dable kissed Daniel Jones all last year. This year, Dable is frustrated with everyone. Don't agree. Dable is emotional. Mara said he was leaving all decisions to Joe and Dabes. I guess Joe and Dable are dumb. Don't agree with the last sentence. I like what Joe Shane and Brian Dable are bringing to the table. When your job is on the line and the boss is saying we're going to do it like this, you got to do it like this. Joe Shane might not get another opportunity to be a GM in this league ever again. I do agree with you that Dable did, kind of kiss up to Daniel Jones last year. You saw them giving him them looks, like when he was walking off the sideline, standing ovation against the Indianapolis Colts when we clinched the playoffs, when he beat the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, you saw that. And to me, and this is just my judgment of character, there's no true answer to this, right? Unless we find out. My judgment of character was that he was just proud of Daniel Jones for being able to handle the adversity and playing well, playing good football. I don't think that that's a insinuation that Daniel Jones was necessarily his guy. I think them declining the 5th-year option after looking at all the tape through 4 seasons of Daniel Jones, I think it says a lot, And now you're looking at Daniel Jones and is entering the 6th year. It's kind of crazy to even say it. It's just crazy. It's really crazy. But shout out to JCNYC. Appreciate the $10 super chat, man. Definitely goes a long way supporting this channel, bro. I definitely appreciate that. And, like I always tell people, everybody's opinion is welcome here. We can debate it, man, and barbershop vibes and all that. But y'all know, if you a Giants fan, I got love for you. That's just what it is. As long as you ain't disrespecting me, I will never disrespect you. And I tell people that, on Twitter, just because you a Giants fan don't mean we family. You see what I'm saying? If you going to disrespect, I can't look at you as family, right? But when you come with a take like this, it's all respect, man. It's all respect. I definitely feel you on this, and I feel why you think like this, too. And, until we get some true answers, it's going to be real good to look back at this, and when we finally have some true answers, and have some facts on the table and, all the speculation. It's kind of why I do this channel, to be able to, look back at old takes and see where I stood. And speaking of old takes, man, I've been telling, all of y'all for a long time, the Giants need to go get Deontay Foreman. The dude had 3 touchdowns last week. I even said it on the parlay on Sunday. I was like, man, he's a running back that I've always wanted on the New York Giants to pair with Saquon Barkley. And supposedly, somebody actually put this in my Twitter mentions. They said that the Giants did offer him a contract in the offseason, but he had a better offer from the Chicago Bears. Shout out to Lou Mateo one time. Lou Mateo says, is pocket manipulation instinct or coached? It's both. It's a little bit of both, because you do see them working on this in practice. You'll see sometimes they have the pad on the stick and whatnot, and they'll like hit the quarterback on one side and make them shuffle their feet. It's practice for sure, but a lot of it is instinct. Pocket, I talked to JT O'Sullivan from the quarterback school. He's a former quarterback in the NFL, played for the Green Bay Packers, played for the San Francisco 49ers, and he believes that those type of things like pocket manipulation, anticipation, those things can be coached, but having the natural knack for it, I'm sure, makes it a lot easier on coaches. Shout out to Lou Mateo. That's a great question too, man, for supporting the channel with the $2 super chat there. All right, let's get back to some of these overreactions one time. General consensus on this one. This was a good one from Ash Money. A couple of overreactions from people saying it was an overreaction, but for the most part, a lot of people took the under on this one, and they agreed with the statement on the screen. Shout out my homie Mac the Giants fan. Make sure y'all go sub up to Mac the Giants fan. Got a great thing going over there on his channel. He says Jones needs a change of scenery to have any chance of success in this league. There is nothing he can do to win over this fan base. Yeah, it's been a long time, Mac. It's been a long time. My entire existence on YouTube has been through the Daniel Jones era since the beginning of 2019. And I feel like I've been doing this for a long time. It's been a really long time. Shout out Mac. Mac, drop your the link to your channel in the comments. Y'all go sub up. Mac's a great Giants fan, man. He always supporting the gang, and he has great takes over there, man. Definitely go check him out. All right, let's keep this pushing because we got. And I'm hanging with y'all today. I'm hanging with y'all. We'll try to keep it to 2 hours. We'll try, but I'm hanging today. It don't matter. Let's get off into this next Giant overreaction. Y'all, this one surprised me a lot. This one surprised me a lot because this is not just from any old regular person on Twitter. This comes from beat reporter Jordan Renan. And he elaborates a little bit more. I don't like the tweets to take up like a bunch of room on the screen where people who are watching this stream from their phone can't even read the tweet. So I kind of condensed it a little bit, but I did try to keep the quotes as accurate as possible. I don't like to misquote people on this channel. But Jordan Renan says, let's be real before people start throwing out foolishness. And I thought that was an attack at the fan base. Giants would have won this game with Jones. Let me know what y'all think. We'll let a little background vibe rock out. Get y'all thoughts and y'all answers in the chat one time, and we'll go over how y'all feeling about this. Do you think this might be an overreaction? I'm going to try to find the exact tweet so I can kind of elaborate on it just a little bit as well. Sorry about that duplicate of the music there. Let's see if I can't find the real tweet here. So he said, let's be real. Yeah, so he said, let's be real before people start throwing out foolishness about a quarterback controversy. The Giants would have won that game if Daniel Jones started. No doubt about it. He owns Washington, and they only allowed 7 points, speaking towards the defense. What y'all think about this one? Bit of an overreaction? Do you agree with the statement on the screen? Let me see what y'all saying over here in the chat one time. Yeah, I knew this one was going to split the room a little bit here. All right. Simeon Toko says that a Super Bowl would help in response to what Mac the Giants fan said about the Giants fans speaking on Daniel Jones and whatnot, and there's nothing he can really do. Let's see. Darius Smith says he agrees with the statement on the screen. Evan Spitzberg agrees with the statement on the screen as well. A-Tone 23 in the building. What's going on, fam? He says this is an overreaction. Thaw 8 Stead 1 agrees with the statement on the screen. Big Blue also agrees with the statement on the screen. Shout out Lamamba James. He says it's an overreaction. AJ Bravo says he's taking it under. He agrees with the statement on the screen. NYG Season agrees with the statement on the screen too. He says, what's Daniel Jones versus Washington's record? He's 5-1-1 against Washington. That's his best record against any team in the NFL. I like that take. Marjorie says she's taking the under as well. DJ has Washington's number. Zach G says it's an overreaction because Washington's D-line is good, and we saw what he did against Seattle, and Chase Young would have got a sack record. That's a really good point right there, too. I like that for sure. Let me see. Darius Smith says Daniel Jones has made FedEx Field MetLife Stadium South. I like that right there. That's very true. Daniel Jones has had some big games, including the 5-touchdown game against the Washington Commanders. The only game that Daniel Jones lost against the Commanders was the game where Dexter Lawrence jumped off sides on the game-winning field goal that went wide right. I was sitting in the end zone at that game, jumped over the bleachers in celebration, and only to see the flag on the field. Had to climb my dumb ass back up the stands, get in my seat, and watch them make a game-winning field goal. It was extremely annoying. Shout out to Darius Smith, though. That's a good point right there. Bleed Blue says Jones would have won. Taylor has been protected better with the additions. I can't agree with the second statement there. I think Jones could have won the game, though. But a lot of the reason why Tyrod Taylor looks like he's being protected, I mean, just look at Justin Pugh. He looked bad. Pugh looked in both games, and people were like, yeah, Justin Pugh's making his line look better. It's not that he's being protected better. You can't – I don't think we can say that. Daniel Jones did have Andrew Thomas in the first game. I know it was up against Dallas, but look at how just like panicked and frightened he looked in that game. Can't agree with the last sentence there. But I agree that maybe Jones could have won the game for sure. Gregory, representing them Cowboys, says it's an overreaction. Simeon Toko says he's taking a push one time. The regressed Daniel Jones of this season, I don't know. I think he's just kind of trying to say that Daniel Jones regressed. Might want to see what he'll do for the rest of the season. I like that. I like to take the push, though. I do like that. Deedon agrees with the statement on the screen. Shout out to my homie Antonio one time in the building, man, representing BT Giants. Make sure y'all go subscribe to BT Giants and check him out on Twitter at BT Giants. Does some great film breakdowns. He's a little critical of Daniel Jones, I'll say, for sure. He's talking about the pocket maneuvering and pocket manipulation. There are drills for it. Yep, totally agree with you on that. Kevin the PRF is taking the push on this one. Jones mojo over Washington versus him playing like a deer in headlights prior. I almost want to keep this one up on the screen because, Kevin, I 1,000% agree with you on this. Like, I'm taking the push as well because, like, I hate trying to trump an argument with a hypothetical situation. We don't know if Daniel Jones would have won this game. We really don't know. The foolishness that Vernon is speaking on, about fans making this a quarterback controversy, I get why he said that. It's not like he's attacking the fans and calling them foolish, right? But I get why he said that because you paid this guy $160 million. What are you going to just put him on the bench right now after he played 5 games? I don't know. We got a couple more reactions. Maybe some of those are going to talk about it. But Kevin, like, I 1,000% agree with this. Like, I'm forced to take the push. I'm really forced to take the push. But I can't say that, like, I agree with the statement on the screen that Daniel Jones would have won the game. They said this last week about the Buffalo game, too. Like, you put Daniel Jones on the 1-yard line and he wins the game. Yeah, that might be the case, but is Daniel Jones even going to get you down to the 1-yard line? We don't know. We've seen Daniel Jones at home now play 2 games where they average 1.5 points per game in those 2 home games. They were shut out in one of them. They scored 3 points in the other game. We just don't know. I can't take a hypothetical situation and use that and say, yeah, Daniel Jones wins this game. I don't know if Daniel Jones wins this game. I don't know, but I could see reasoning why people think he would for sure. So I'm with you, Kevin. I'm taking the push. Immortal72 agrees with it, taking the under. NYG season taking the under. Daniel Jones and the teams always play good against Commanders. Yeah, but you never know. Dude, like, do you know the New York Jets were 0-12 against the Philadelphia Eagles? Not like in the Jalen Hurts era, not like in the recent decade, all time. They were 0-12 against the Philadelphia Eagles. This is like saying that you just chalked it up and they were going to win the 13th matchup. You saw what the Jets did. They went out there and they won the football game. So I just can't use like a team or a quarterback having another team's number as reasoning why they absolutely would win that game. I just can't do it. I am Jarrell's taking the under. He agrees with the statement on the screen. Lou Mateo made another good point. DJ last year, yes. It's a good point because teams have tape on Brian Dable now. It just has not been as easy for Daniel Jones this past season. Darius Smith puts up the record there, 5-1-1 against the Washington Commanders. Let me see. Payback NYC says, we only won by 7. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm really not sure. And to me, it's crazy that this game came down to being 14-7 because this could have been a 31-0 blowout. It really could have. Like, we left so much out there. And a lot of what was left out there had nothing to do with Tyrod Taylor. like no one can predict Saquon Barkley's going to fumble it inside the own 10-yard line when you're trying to put that game on ice. Sterling Shepard muffing the punt. Kayvon Thibodeau dropping an interception. Graham Gano, them wins been messing with you a little bit lately, missing a field goal. Like just so much was left out there, you know? And it's unfortunate for Tyrod Taylor. You know, I was telling my girl as I was watching the game, I would love for this to be a very decisive second half for the New York Giants as far as how we win. Just go out there and kick their ass. And we made it close. And I think when you make it close, it allows people to kind of have these like gray area thoughts about how Tyrod Taylor played. I thought he played a great game. Wasn't scared to take the deep shot. And that's been the knock on Daniel Jones this entire season. And also taking the hits, man. Taking the hits. Not being able to be decisive and get rid of that ball faster. And when you look at the time to throw, I was looking at this earlier. I believe I bookmarked it. Let me see right here. I do believe I bookmarked this one earlier. Yeah, time to throw for Tyrod Taylor. These were updated numbers. Taylor's pressured on 43% of the snaps. This is after the Washington game. He's throwing the ball in 2.77 seconds. Jones is pressured on 46.2. He's throwing it in 2.84. So not a like a large number in time to throw as far as, you know, just being a 0.1 difference or 1/10 of a second there difference. But what it shows you is that Tyrod's getting rid of the ball faster. For those of y'all that don't look at these next-gen stats a lot, time to throw, right? You want that to be a little bit lower. You want that to be around that 2.5, 2.6 mark. All the quarterbacks who breach the 3-second mark as far as time to throw, they have awful offensive lines, and it's a product of them holding on to the ball too long. If you want to look at like how much time a quarterback has and how the offensive line is affecting that, I would suggest going to next-gen stats and look at their pocket time statistics, which I'm going to do myself when I get off air. Let me see. Kareem Yee says it's an overreaction. Last year's DJ, but this year's not so much. Yeah, and I like that. Somebody else, I think that was Lou Mateo, that said that as well. That's a great take, you know, because Daniel Jones this year looks like a shell of himself from what we saw from him last year. Hyphen Wade is in the building. He said he might have, however, his play this year gives me pause. Yeah, I'm with you on that because he might have won the game. That's why I got to take the push as well. Let me see this one from Antonio Garcia. Yo, let's spin the block one time on that Baker take. All right, let's spin the block one time on that Baker take. Does Baker play better, the same, or worse than what both quarterbacks on the roster have done so far this year? I love this question, bro. I love this. I'm going to say the same as Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod's not making the mistakes, though. Baker Mayfield does have a couple of games here where he made a mistake. Let me check out Baker Mayfield's stats throughout the year. So Baker has 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 1,363 yards in 6 games. His completion percentage is 65%. His passer rating is just a tick under 90. That looks like Tyrod Taylor football to me. He's got 4 games over 200 yards, 1 game over 300 yards. He has 2 games that he's thrown for underneath 200 yards. Damn. I'm glad you had me revisit this, spin the block on that Baker take, because maybe Baker's a better quarterback than both these guys. I do think that for this particular team, though, Tyrod Taylor presents a better way of manipulating the pocket and buying time than all the quarterbacks listed here. Baker Mayfield has Mike Evans as his number 1 wide receiver. Chris Godwin as his number 2. I'm going to say Tyrod's playing better ball than both of them. The asterisk is Tyrod has a smaller sample size in comparison to both the other quarterbacks. I'm glad you made me revisit that. I appreciate that, Antonio. Salute to you, bro. Let me see what else. Mac, the Giants fan's taking the push, too. He says Jones has a pretty good history against Washington, and the defense played really well yesterday. Yeah, I like the push. I'm really with the push one time. Let me see. I haven't heard from this person before. Internationale Milano. I like that. That's a fire name right there. Salute to you. Welcome to the fan, bro. We easily win with DJ. Come on. DJ just needs a game where he doesn't get hit a lot. He's obviously rattled, and if settled in, he's much better than Tyrod. Let's just support him for the season and see after. All right, so Milano, he's got my support all day, right? Especially for the rest of the season, 100%. We easily, I can't stand when people say we easily anything, because we don't know. We really don't know. The Washington Commanders are probably a tick underneath of the kind of caliber team that the Seattle Seahawks were coming into that game, right? We didn't easily win that game. I think Geno Smith is a better quarterback than Sam Howell, right? But when you look at the weapons on the outside, very comparable when you got Terry McLaurin, who was a dog in this game. Deontay Banks did his best job covering him, but Terry McLaurin was a damn dog in this game. Jahan Dotson, right? You compare that to Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf on the outside. Washington clearly has the better front than the Seattle Seahawks. But to me, the only game that you can look at and really compare to how Daniel Jones played in this game, versus Tyrod in this game, right, is the Seattle Seahawks game. The balance of those two teams vary around 500 ball clubs. I think that the Seattle Seahawks are a little bit above a 500 team, and I think the Washington Commanders are a little bit below a 500 team. But I don't think we easily win. I do think we could have won. I do think that. And then you say DJ just needs a game where he doesn't get hit a lot. That's not going to happen with this offensive line. You need Andrew Thomas out there 100% for a quarterback like Daniel Jones if you're expecting him to not get hit a lot. It just is what it is, especially going up against a front like the Washington Commanders have. Montez Sweat, who was a little quiet. He had a couple of plays there late in the game, but Montez Sweat, Chase Young, Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen. We're talking about maybe the best front in football. That's a top 5 front. I don't care what nobody says. All drafted in the first round. All of them drafted in the first round. They did have somebody go out with an injury, and they had what's my man, Ridgeway or Ridgewell. I forget his first name, but dude is a problem too. He's a problem. So this is not the game that you would want to expect. Not that you would want to, that you could expect Daniel Jones to not get hit a lot. He's obviously rattled. I agree with you on that. He's got to settle in. I don't know if he can settle in. When you look at the throw on the pick 6 against the Seattle Seahawks, right? I think that was Tariq Woolen, or maybe that was Devin Witherspoon who took the pick 6 to the house. Just look at Daniel Jones' feet on that play. I'm really challenging you to go back and look at that interception in the Seahawks game. The dude throws the ball with both of his feet facing the goal line. You never see a quarterback do that. And the reason why you've seen that is because he's not settled in. He's in panic mode a little bit. And, Daniel Jones is the kind of quarterback that when he gets hit a lot, it does rattle him. I thought Daniel Jones played much safer football post the injury that he had against the Dallas Cowboys in 2021, I believe that was. Let me see. Was that 2021? No, I think that was 2022, actually. I think it was 2022. I think that was Dable's first year where he got knocked out of the game, but he ended up playing the next week. A lot of people thought it was a concussion, and he was mad woozy on the side. He stood up, and the Dallas Cowboys player was trying to help him and calling the medical staff. You started to see Daniel Jones start to slide a little more after that game and be a little bit more reserved. And then this year, you kind of seeing Daniel Jones go back to that, lowering his shoulder type of vibe, doing everything he can possibly do to get this team to a victory. And I commend him for that. I do. That shows, characteristics of a great leader. But I think he's got to be a smart quarterback outside of that. He's got to be a smart quarterback. And I just can't agree with that. He easily wins that. Come on. I just can't agree with that. But, International. I like that. That's fire right there. Milano, welcome to the fam, bro. I don't see you too much in these chats, but welcome to the fam. We appreciate your presence here. And, man, your opinions are welcome here. We here to debate them and talk about them and see if we can all come to some agreeing point. And, some kind of balance with the takes is what I like to have over here on my channel, man. So, you're welcome here. Salute to you, fam. I see a bunch of mixed opinions, some overreactions, some people taking the under, some people taking the push. OG knockout, that's egregious. I was going to highlight that, but that's a little egregious. Hey, man, this is authentic in the beer. We got to keep it authentic here. He says, what we do know is that Daniel Jones sucks against the blitz. Yeah, that's not his forte. And a lot of quarterbacks don't play well against the blitz. But, yeah, Daniel Jones, not great against the blitz for sure. I think when Daniel Jones is settled in, that's when you see the best version of him, and he needs Andrew Thomas for that. Shout out OG Knockout one time in the building. Antonio says, it's not about overreaction or underreaction. It's about what has Jones done so far in this season that makes you believe we can score 14 points or that we won't have a turnover-free game. This is my dude right here. And Antonio, we see the game so alike. Like when we be in the group chat and everybody be saying all these different takes, like we see the game so alike. Like I remember in the chat, like people were kind of jumping the gun on Sam Howell. I can remember people saying like, clean house on the defense as well. It's time to get rid of all these players outside of Dexter Lawrence. and Kayvon Thibodeau. And, like, me and you just really see the game alike, man. So respect to you, bro. Like, and I do think that that's because we played ball. I do think that has a lot to do with that. I don't know how many of the people in the group chat played ball. I know a couple of them did. I know Cross talked about playing ball. A few others talked about playing ball too. But, like, I do think that because we played ball, we see the game alike, man. Shout out to my homie Antonio one time in the building. And make sure y'all go follow him on Twitter. He's a great follow. But, you know, it's facts over feelings with Antonio. He's one of those kind of people. Like, he's going to be critical. He's going to call out, you know, what he doesn't like about the team and stuff like that. So if you don't like that, don't follow him. I'm trying to promote his channel a little bit. But if you like balanced, just like realistic takes, Antonio's a good follow. He's at BT Giants on Twitter. Shout out Antonio one time in the building. And my man Adam Costas, another great follow on Twitter and over here on YouTube, says, but if DJ struggles and you come out and say he gives us the best chance to win, I can't buy this. I'm with you on that too. I'm with you on that. Let me see. Jarrett says, that's cap. Jones played so bad he made the Seattle Seahawks look like juggernauts at home. That was Jones. Yeah, that was old school Daniel Jones. It was bad. I hated that for him. When he threw that pick six on the goal line, and then the way Brian Dable was looking on the sidelines, I'm just like, that just reminded me of the Joe Judge era. Like, just, God, it's just awful bad football. Yeah, I agree with you on that, Jared. That's a great point, though. Arturo says, let's be real. That's all we do over here, Arturo. You know how we do, man. It's authentic in the beard. We're not going to not be real. We're not going to be optimistic. We're not going to be pessimistic. We're going to keep it funky and be realistic. That's the saying. That's how we do over here. If we question our quarterback, that's an issue. DJ brings doubt to all fans. Yes, this is facts right here, Arturo. This is straight facts. Like, we're having conversations about a backup quarterback challenging our starting quarterback who just got paid his big money. I had a dude who came into one of my, and, I was like, yo, I'm all in support for Tyrod Taylor as the backup quarterback and coming out here and winning games for the New York Giants. And he came on that post and he said something like, y'all losing y'all mind over a guy who put up 70 yards in the second half. Well, like, if we want to look at halves of football, look at the halves of football that Daniel Jones has put out this year. Look at that first half against Dallas. Look at the second half against the Seattle Seahawks. Look at the entire game against the Miami Dolphins. I was floored by PFF. And this is why, like, I don't use PFF like that. Like, I only use it for offensive linemen, for real. I don't use PFF to grade my quarterback. I got eyeballs. I can look at the quarterback, and I can look at the statistics and look at QBR and things like that I think are a better measurement. After the Miami Dolphins game, and I want to give y'all exact stats because it wouldn't be doing it good service to not give you the exact stats on this. But Daniel Jones' numbers against the Dolphins, he put up 119 yards, okay? He did have a completion percentage of 70, which is awesome, right? That you want to see that out of your quarterback, right? But the yards per attempt was 6. He was 14 of 20. He completed the ball 14 times. PFF had him rated as a top 5 quarterback that week. Even with Tyrod in Buffalo. Tyrod put up some decent numbers against Buffalo. I do got those numbers here. Let's go back to this. So Tyrod was 18 of 29 for, that's not the Buffalo numbers. Let me go back. That's Washington. These are the Buffalo numbers here. He was 24-36 with 200 yards. And when PFF released their top 5 quarterbacks from that week, they had Tyrod Taylor at number 5. And I'm like, what? The dude threw for no touchdowns. How is that a top 5 quarterback performance? I get his PFF, y'all grading. Shout out my homie Ben who works for PFF. He's a great dude who breaks down a lot of the stuff with PFF for me and kind of, makes it make sense. But that just does not make sense to me. It just makes no sense. And a lot of people are running with that. Daniel Jones, top 5 PFF. And it's like, bro had 119 yards and 14 completions for 6 yards an attempt. I can't do that. 4 rushes for 24 yards. I just can't do that. Daniel Jones' best game of the season is against the Arizona Cardinals, 26 of 37 for 329 or 321 yards, 70 completion percentage. He did have an interception in that game. His quarterback rating was 103.5, and his QBR was 73.5, which is the highest of any Giants quarterback this entire year. But then outside of that, you got 4 games that don't show you a good quarterback. So we can't look at Tyrod and go, oh, man, 70 yards, he's not playing well. Tyrod went out there and he played extremely well against a solid defense in the Washington Commanders. I know they're not playing good this year. I know they're not playing good this year. But that front poses some problems for the New York Giants. And Tyrod did a good job. A couple of times there I was kind of like, all right, Tyrod. You know, when he got sacked for the 13-yard loss, I'm like, hey, bro, you're doing way too much right now. And David G is in the building. Darius says PFF is I feel you on that. David G says the 49ers was saying the same thing about DJ. He's scared to throw the ball down the field. And then in return, they just step up. And they play everything short, everything to the flats. You know that the Seattle Seahawks looked at that 49ers tape, and they were like, man, they were doing a type of bail kind of coverage, like a cover 2 bail, where the corner, as soon as the ball is about to get released out of the quarterback's hand, they just dive to the flats. And that's how they got their interceptions. Tariq Woolen almost had another interception in that game. You could tell they were studying the tape. Daniel Jones likes to quickly get to the check down so he doesn't get hit. I hope he's learning something from being on the sidelines these couple of games. The cameras panned to him a lot during the broadcast versus the Washington Commanders this past Sunday. So, you know, we'll see if maybe when Daniel Jones gets back, if he gets back, I'm still worried about this neck injury, that maybe he's learning a thing or two from being on the sideline. Shout out my brother L one time in the building. Says had to slide through and show love to the other blue gang, the primary blue gang. Don't you dare do us like that, L. He said, coming away with a W at Awthentik in the Beard. Sorry for your loss. Yeah, that's straight towards the Beard, who's representing Awthentik in the Beard in the chat right now. Salute to the Beard one time, represent with us. And shout out brother L in the building. Yeah, Antonio says shout out to Ben for sure. Ben's definitely always holding it down on the PFF side. Simeon Toko says the guys at PFF don't like me. I definitely feel you on that. Pop Barrios in the building one time. Shout out, Pat Barrios. Says DJ's peers don't respect him and will never get respect in this league. Carson Wentz 2.0. That's tough because Carson Wentz had a lot of locker room problems, right? Where like people felt like they kind of was giving him like that Jay Cutler kind of vibe, like he don't want to hang out with us after the games. I saw DJ playing some flip cup with Saquon Barkley at a couple little keg parties or something like that. So at least you know that like off the field they rock with him a little bit. Sterling Shepard has shown a lot of support for Daniel Jones. Golden Tate did. Darius Slayton, you know, with the no DJ slander and all that, rocking the shirts from NY Revival and whatnot. I don't think it's quite the same as Carson Wentz, but I feel you. Like, I question it because I don't know if y'all saw the meme picture going around with Adoree Jackson, like looking at Tyrod during the post-game speech. Man, he looking at Tyrod like that's the love of his life. Like, what they called him, is gazing into his eyes, straight up. It's kind of funny, man. I posted that one on my Twitter too. Y'all should check that one out. Pretty hilarious. Yo, Kevin, the PRF, you wildin'. Y'all definitely wild. All right, let's get off into this next giant overreaction. I want to ponder over the ones we have to make sure that. Yeah, I might skip one of these. We did the Giants win with Jones. We did Tyrod matching the productivity from Ash Money. I'm going to do these two because I don't want people to be looking at this stream like, man, Awthentik just did a whole bash stream on Daniel Jones one time. All right, let's get off to this next giant overreaction. I thought this one was really good. There was an article in NY Post. I want to say that was Paul Schwartz that might have put that. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. But this one comes from Really Tweezy B one time. Says there's just no way Dable should be on the hot seat, especially not while Daniel Jones is his quarterback. Because last week a lot of people were talking about Brian Dable possibly being on a hot seat. I related it back to a comment that Colin Cowherd said on the Herd a couple last year, actually, where he had said, like, you know, Brian Dable bought himself another year. Like, you got all these coaches that have been fired after 2 seasons. McAdoo, Pat Shurmur, Joe Judge, right? They all got fired after 2 seasons. The pattern was kind of looking like, oh, man, is this going to be a second-year regression for Brian Dable? Let me know what y'all think about this one. Y'all think this could be an overreaction on the screen, or do y'all think that this statement on the screen is very true? And if you can, let me know what you think about the reference to Daniel Jones being the quarterback. What do y'all think about that? Like, do you think that Brian Dable's future is kind of tied to Daniel Jones, or do you think that people are going to give Brian Dable, especially this front office, a little bit longer of a leash, with Daniel Jones at the quarterback position? Let me know what y'all thinking on that. Y'all, I can't wait to get in my new studio, man. I really can't wait to get back. So many things missing. I created this little island right here with like just a little tabletop, 2 little monitor stands. I got the mic, I got the keyboard, I got the mouse here, and then my screen is like way over there. So I had to like dummy down the resolution on the screen to like 720 because I'm getting older. I can't see shit over here. Camera over here, it's wild, man. My Mac Pro is sitting on a chair right here with an Ethernet cable to it and everything looking all crazy and whatnot. But man, shout out to the grind, man. Y'all know what it is. When we get a W, it feels a lot better coming up here, chopping it up and talking with y'all in front of this setup. Let's see what the people in the chat are saying one time, though, about this one. Scroll back a little bit. That thing jumped. Hey, shout out to Mel Hayes 3D one time in the building. He says, Cowboys fan here. Big win for the Giants. What is y'all loyalty with Daniel Jones? Tyrod came in and made plays, but y'all rushing to get back to Jones. You know, I would say like this, and I'll try to speak for the fan base a little bit here. Most of the fan base is very, very pro Daniel Jones, very invested in Daniel Jones. They point to the things that have not been corrected around him as reasoning to why Daniel Jones' career has gone the way that it has gone. I'm more of a realist here. I think that Daniel Jones is an average quarterback, a good game manager who does have legs, can do some things running the ball, a little bit of read option, a big body quarterback who you can run the read option with. And, you know, he can take some hits and last season at least proved to not get injured. But for me, I don't have this grand loyalty to Daniel Jones. In the offseason, I thought it would have been a better situation if the Giants moved on, possibly drafted a quarterback. Now, you can look at the quarterbacks that came out in that draft and say, you know, you would have had to trade up some way to try to get guys like C.J. Stroud, and I don't even think some of these teams would have traded out. But you did see that the Chicago Bears were willing to trade the first pick to the Carolina Panthers, so that goes to show you that you could have at least traded and got a guy like Bryce Young. I think it's all going to work out a little bit better for us, though, because I like the quarterback class in 2024 a lot better than I like the class in 2023. I thought C.J. Stroud was probably the top guy, and I thought Anthony Richardson was definitely one of the top guys in this draft class in 2023. But that was my thinking. Go get a bridge quarterback. You know, I wanted to bring in Marcus Mariota, Gardner Minshew, possibly Jacoby Brissett, or just roll with Tyrod Taylor. I was worried about Tyrod Taylor's durability because last year when he came in the game, he did get banged up a little bit. He got concussed one time. He fumbled the ball on another one on a blind hit off the left side. But, yeah, I don't understand. I think I would chalk up like the blind loyalty to Daniel Jones with the Giants community as a lot of these younger fans, they have not got to go through a lot of the struggles at the quarterback position like some of the OG fans like myself. I'm 40 years old, so I saw football in the late 80s, all throughout the 90s, 2000s. You know, I've seen all the Kent Grahams and, you know, who's the other Duke quarterback that I would like to forget, to be honest, but who showed that he kind of had a little bit of some better play than Daniel Jones at times. I don't know why. Oh, Dave Brown. His name was like missing for a second there. I saw Phil Simms, Jeff Hostetler, Kerry Collins. You know what I'm saying? And I saw the Eli Manning era. You know, so I know what it's like to have struggling quarterback play. Even Eli had his fair share of struggling quarterback play as well, but he got us to 2 Super Bowls, and he was a guy who was very resilient. I always had faith in Eli, and I think that these younger fans, all they know is Eli. So they saw Eli struggle, and then in the end, we came out on top with 2 Super Bowls. And it's just faith. A lot of people just have faith when it comes to football. They want to have belief. They're like, that's my guy. We drafted him. I kind of felt like that in the beginning years with Daniel Jones. Like, yeah, I'm going to root like hell for my quarterback. And I still do. But these days I'm looking at it like, yeah, you know, I know what Daniel Jones is. I've known what Daniel Jones is for 2 years now. The guy has wheels. He can throw. He can make most of the throws as an NFL quarterback, but pressure definitely bothers him. Pocket manipulation is not one of his strengths. Pocket maneuvering, not one of his strengths. He got better at it throughout his career, but we're looking at a guy who's now going into his 6th season, still struggling with some of the things that we've seen from his rookie year. The fumbles was definitely alarming. His rookie season. And then when you got him underneath Jason Garrett and Joe Judge, they tried to correct some of those problems, and I think it kind of like took away a little bit of Daniel Jones' recklessness to just go out there and play football. He's a guy that was never really a true winner on all levels of the sport. You know, I even went back and shout out to a homie on Twitter who linked me to some high school articles from Daniel Jones, who struggled when he first came in, I believe as a sophomore, and then by his junior year, he was starting to win some games. You go to Duke, very 500-ish kind of quarterback, not really a winner over there as well, and never really showed you he could throw the deep ball. Granted, Duke didn't have great wide receivers over there either. And people just want to look at the circumstances around him. Dave Gettleman didn't do any, you know, justice to Daniel Jones bringing in pieces. So there was a lot that went wrong. But I think that, like, you want to put quarterbacks into a situation that's not perfect. I think that's the question right now with Brock Purdy. It's like, when you put him around a situation that's not perfect, is he still going to be that guy? Because I right now, I like what I'm seeing out of Brock Purdy. Dude is definitely a great player, so far. But it's a small sample size. And what are we going to see when he has to face some adversity? That's when you'll find out what a quarterback really is. And I think we already know what Daniel Jones is. But shout out to Mel for pulling up as a Cowboys fan, rocking out with us today on the Giant Overreaction. Mel, if you don't know, we do focus on the NFC East on this channel completely. Every week we do 4 shows. 2 of them are focused on the NFC East, doing our previews and our recaps. So we're all NFC East based, and we do this Giant Overreaction show on Monday. Salute to you, man. Appreciate you pulling up, rocking out with us on this Monday afternoon while your Cowboys are on a bye, man. Hope y'all are getting right. Let me see what else we got here. Most people think that, I think we're kind of split on this one. So Robert Gregory says it's an overreaction. There's just no way Dable should be on the hot seat. I don't think Dable should be on the hot seat right now, but maybe the overreaction could be tying it to Daniel Jones being his quarterback. Marjorie agrees with the statement on the screen. James Hostetler, or Hollister, I'm a Giants fan. I read that as Hostetler. You can't be mad at me. Shout out to James Hollister one time. I've been seeing this profile picture you got somewhere else on Twitter as well. Maybe you're on Twitter as well. Shout out Adam Costas one time. He said, hell no, Dable needs to get his guy in here. I'm with you on that. Shout out my guy Strider one time in the building. Says Dable is being honest, but he's going to keep options open. Overreaction. Yeah, I'm with you on that too. I feel you. I don't think it's an overreaction as far as like Dable being on the hot seat. I don't think Dable's on the hot seat. Let me see. Darius says Brian Dable will get time to coach this team up. That's a fact right there. Jay Jackson said preach. Shout out to Jay Jackson in the building one time. Chance Chambers in the building says he's taking the under. Fair. He has his faults, but the coach of the year has him saved. And with Dable's history with quarterbacks, you have to let him develop one. That's facts right there. Kafka could be a sacrificial lamb, though. Yeah, and a lot of people were saying that Wink Martindale was going to be the sacrificial lamb, and I totally disagree with that. I'm like, man, Wink Martindale out here doing his best with limited 2 young rookie corners, and he's out here actually keeping us in some of these games we're expected to stay in. Like, you look at the San Francisco 49ers, the Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins, even the Dallas Cowboys, and the Seattle Seahawks. Those are games I did not walk into going, man, the New York Giants defense is going to win this game for us. Like, these are great offenses, and Dable's out there, or Wink is out there doing, a pretty good job of keeping us in these games, and the offense is just not doing their part. So it's good to see the offense, do their part in this game against the Commanders. And the defense just really getting back the New York Giants' way, man. This defense kind of reminds me of what we were seeing at the end of the Patrick Graham era when the New York Giants were a top 10 defense the year before. Simeon says he's taking the under. Dable is fine. I'm with you on that. Definitely with you on that. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets taking the push. We all crowned the new regime a little too early. It's still too early to call for Joe and Dable, regardless who the quarterback is. They re-signed DJ. Yeah, and I think that's the thing that a lot of fans are questioning. Like, did Mara have any part in signing Daniel Jones? I think that's the biggest thing, because it looked like they wanted to sign. Everything points to not that this front office did not want to do that. They tried to lock in a deal with Saquon Barkley at the bye week in 2022, and then they came out the season. They couldn't get the deal done. I think that kind of spiraled things out of control for them. Looked like they were leaning towards the franchise tag. It went all the way to the last day you could franchise tag a player, and they signed Daniel Jones. It's interesting. I mean, we'll never know. Maybe we will know one day, but I like that you took the push. I'm kind of with that too. Like, it's not because of Daniel Jones, I don't think, why people think Brian Dable's not on the hot seat. I'll say that. Like, but Brian Dable's not on the hot seat. I definitely don't think he is. Shout out Hyphen Wade one time. He says he's taking the push. This speaks to a multitude of factors, including the constantly mentioned regression of Daniel Jones, the injuries and team building of his GM. All of this to say it's a push for me. Yeah, great way to just sum all that up. Hyphen, man, you got a real rational mind, and your takes. I like your takes a lot, man. Somebody outside of my house beeping the horn and whatnot. Let me see. David G is in the building. What's going on, David? Definitely taking the under, but his shine as a coach is gone. Yeah, like that first year, things was looking up, man. It was great. We know we got coach of the year, and we're feeling like, man, Brian Dable made you feel like you could have anybody at quarterback out there, and he was going to go win a game. That's what it felt like. And this year we've seen a little bit of a regression, a lack of creativity, I feel like. But he did place an onus to go out there and kind of take control of the offensive room, the quarterback room this week. Pat Leonard wrote a great article about that this past week. And, man, I'll take this time real quick. Like, Pat Leonard, man, I want to send a real special shout out to Pat Leonard, right? I tweeted a couple of his takes from his video last week, in Buffalo and whatnot. And a lot, they were very controversial. Like, he's supporting Tyrod Taylor a good bit, but he knows, Pat Leonard said this today or yesterday on his stream. He said, like, yeah, when Daniel Jones comes back, you should fully expect him to be the quarterback. They're not going to put a guy who just got paid that much money on the bench, right? And Pat Leonard, I got there right at the end of his stream. I'm going to go back and I'm going to catch up on that stream, and I got to clip this up. I had asked him a question about, Daniel Jones moving forward. Is there any way that he could come back healthy and Tyrod be the starter? Which, prompted him to say that, Daniel's going to be the starter regardless, in his opinion, at this moment in time when he comes back. And he took that time to, like, shout me out. He was like, Awthentik, like, I see you on Twitter, man, and, like, I appreciate you retweeting my videos and clipping up the videos yourself and putting those up there and supporting what I do over here. Like, yo, I promise y'all, all of y'all, go over there, support Pat Leonard. Just search Pat Leonard's name on YouTube. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel, because to me, this is just my opinion, he is the most, like, unbiased beat reporter that we got right now. He's going to call it like it is every time, and some people are not going to like him for that. But his YouTube channel has less subscribers on it than mine. He just started his YouTube channel like this year, I think, but he has less subscribers than mine. And for a beat reporter that's putting in that kind of work, I just don't think that's fair. So go over there, subscribe to his channel, jump in the comments, watch his last video. It's a really good video. He's all about the fans and answering y'all questions directly after these games. And when you go over there and you hit that subscribe button, go into the comments section and tell them Awthentik sent you. Because, like, for me, that was great because, like, I'm defending Pat Leonard a lot on Twitter. Like, people were using that post to try to bring up old stuff and, like, say, well, Pat Leonard was a homer, this, that, and the third back in the day. And I'm just like, look, man, like, Don't take people's shining moments to go, like, shit on them. That says a lot about your character when you do that. I always say this, like, people wait till LeBron is, like, in the championship game to lose to then go talk shit about him. Or they, like, wait for a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes to lose in a Super Bowl where his offensive line is struggling to then say, oh, yeah, this, Patrick Mahomes ain't shit pretty much. Like, yo, that speaks way more volumes to your character than it does to the players that you're trying to shit on. So go over there, man. Subscribe to Pat Leonard. He's sitting on under 1,000 subscribers over there. And tell him Awthentik sent you, man. Please do that for me, yo. And Pat Leonard deserves more subscribers. His content is fire. He definitely does. So I see this one kind of split the room, a little bit more views in the chat. Shout out Antonio one time. He says there's no way Dable is on the hot seat, but there's definitely a way he can get on the hot seat this season. Yeah, if things start to spiral a little more out of control, I just think Dable's got to go out there and win the games that he's expected to win. Don't, if you fall and we only win 3 games this year, it's going to look kind of bad on Brian Dable. And I think entering the year next year, things are going to be a little bit warmer on that seat for sure, but definitely not on the hot seat right now. And Brother L says, on Dable, 3 years minimum before judgment. I'm right there with you. And that's why I said, Colin Cowherd said he bought himself another year. A lot of people looked at that like he didn't know the contract of Brian Dable. And he's like, he's got more than 2 years on the contract, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, Colin Cowherd was pretty much just saying, like, the way that the Giants played this season, won a playoff game, that buys you. If you think he had 3 years, well, he's got 4 years now. If you think he had 2 years, he's got 3 years. So I definitely agree with Brother L and Colin Cowherd on that one. James Hollister, that one is throwing me off for sure. I keep wanting to say Hostetler. He says, let me see, invested in a quarterback who can give us at least 2 touchdowns a game, which is 32 over 17 weeks. My problem with Daniel Jones is production and anticipation. Yup, I'm right there with you. And consistency. That's what it is with me. Like, he'll have a good game, regress, have a bad game. It's been like that his whole entire career. Shout out James Hollister one time for bringing that to our attention. That's a good one right there. All right, let me just see here. Yeah, we're good. We're all caught up on that. All right, let's get one more giant overreaction, man. I'll get y'all about here. I'm a little bit behind on the chat, definitely. I see y'all. Y'all are dropping gems in this chat. Let me get one more from Hyphen Wade one time. He says, push this speaks to a multitude of factors, including the constantly. Okay, we got that one already up. I thought that was another one. Let me see. Oh, yeah, but they got me way back now. Yeah, I see no Mets, no Nets, no Jets is agreeing with Brother L one time. And it's 34 over 17 games. Yep, definitely. Just making sure we all good here. Seeing if there's any new faces in here. Okay, Kevin the PRF had one directed right at me. He said, Awthentik, if we're buying into the theory that Dable had no say in signing Daniel Jones, that means he's on the outside looking in as a fall guy if the Giants can't catch the Eagles or the Cowboys soon. It's a good point. I like this. I'm glad you brought this up. So if you look at the situation with Ben McAdoo, it's a good way to try to look at the way that John Mara kind of operates, okay? So when John Mara came out and he spoke about the Eli Manning streak, and they spoke about why they were going to Geno Smith, right? John Mara said he signed off on it and that it had been talking to coaching staff for a couple of weeks leading up to that point, and he signed off on having Geno Smith start in place for Eli Manning. They broke the active streak game for Eli Manning, which was a disservice to him. He's a great quarterback. They should have never really done that. I would have just let Eli ride out the rest of that season, and then they went back to him. It's so crazy, 2018 and 2019. It's just an egregious mistake by them. But my point is this. He signed off on that move, okay? They knew that they were dealing with injuries that year. 2017, by week 5, you had lost Odell Beckham, Brandon Marshall, and Sterling Shepard, and Dwayne Harris at wide receivers. And there were other injuries lingering across that whole entire team. So you knew that the New York Giants were not going to be in place to win many games. They start losing a bunch of games, and Ben McAdoo is fired midseason after he literally had Mara sign off on the whole Eli Manning debacle. I'm a fair guy. Ben McAdoo in 2016 took this team to the playoffs. I believe they won 10 or 11 games that year. I believe it was 10 or 11 games. I know it was more than 9. And he had this team going in the right direction. They went out there and they spent money before 2016. They spent $200 million to rebuild this defense, right? None of that had Mara even try to spare Ben McAdoo, who I thought was a coach that got fired too early. I know Ben McAdoo lost the locker room, but a lot of that was because of losing. And a lot of the losing was because of injuries. But he did not spare Ben McAdoo. He fired him, hired the new coach. So when I look at that in this situation here, I really pay attention to body language. Look at when Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll go to the podium in any press conference together. Brian Daboll does not speak. It almost looks like a father and son type of relationship. You know, I almost want to say it's like a grandfather, and then Brian Daboll is the father and Daniel Jones is the son. And it's the weirdest energy I've ever seen. You just never see Brian Daboll take lead at the podium, which I felt like when Joe Judge was up there, you didn't see like him shrinking when Dave Gettleman would be up there on the podium with him. The leader was Joe Judge during that time. In this regime, it looks like the leader is Joe Schoen. I don't think that Brian Daboll is going to be some sacrificial lamb because he already showed you that he can do great things with limited personnel on the field. So I don't think that if we don't close the gap between the Eagles and the Cowboys soon, especially the way that they regressed this year, and knowing that they botched the quarterback position is what it looks like, at least so far, I think Brian Daboll is going to be pretty safe. I can't 1,000% buy into the theory that Daboll had no say in signing Daniel Jones. I can't buy into the theory that he had no say. I think he had some say. But I think when it comes down to it, there's going to be a conversation, and then there'll be an ultimate decision. All the moves leading up to the Daniel Jones contract, to me, is just to me, don't scream that Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll were 100% invested in this quarterback. And then when you look at the deal, if they were 100% invested in Daniel Jones, why would they create a contract with the 2-year out? Why wouldn't they just backload it? If they thought Daniel Jones was the guy, why wouldn't they just backload it and use more money for the present day and try to bring in more offensive linemen to make a Super Bowl run with Daniel Jones? Let's not forget, he was 1 game away from an NFC championship last year. I think that there were some cause for concern. I think that they were a little bit weary stepping into the contract with Daniel Jones. And I think this kind of shows. And then when you look at Brian Daboll's answer in the press conference just yesterday, he left room open. He didn't say that Daniel Jones is 100% going to be the starter when he comes back. He said, what I'll say is that Tyrod Taylor played a good game and we're lucky to have him. He's damn right about that. But I like the take, Kevin. I like it. It's like, we don't know. We really don't know. I don't know how much Mara had to do with this contract, but when a contract comes down all the way down to the franchise tag deadline within minutes, and then y'all finally get a contract, something look a little sketchy. Something looks a little sketchy. Shout out Chris Peace in the building. I didn't get to see you in here all stream, Chris. I don't know if you was in the chat or not. It's been booming, been moving fast. He's holding us down over there on Facebook too, man. Shout out to Chris Peace. He says, my theory, Shane told Mara, we will try it your way for a couple of years and see if you're right. I think Shane and Dable will get their quarterback this offseason. I think so too. And this theory would be a really good one to run with because, look, I don't think that John Mara is in any position to try to fire a coach after 2 seasons again. You can't do that 4 straight times. You cannot do that. And we know that John Mara pays attention to how the fan base feels. But as soon as Eli got benched and the fan base was throwing tomatoes at John Mara, he was like, man, get Eli back out there, right? So he really cares about how the fan base feels. When he was giving out those medium Pepsis and the fan base destroyed him for that, you're never going to see that again. They gave out some beautiful old school Giant pennant that represent the legacy uniforms at the game this past week. Man, if I could get my hands on one of those, that's why I wore the jersey today too, to represent the legacy. Giants got to go with these legacy uniforms all day. They just got to rock these. Rock the legacies like these at home. Take the Color Rush whites, rock them on the road. Like, that's what we got to do. Adam Costa says, DJ called Mara last minute to get the deal done. That's what it looked like. Yeah, and the reports came out that that's exactly what happened. He called him late. And there you go. You get yourself a deal. I bet Saquon probably did the same thing and got himself a little deal there for the 1 year. We'll see how all this goes. In a year or two, I think we're going to get some more answers. I do think we're going to get some more answers for sure. But all we can do right now is just speculate a little bit. That's all we can do. So let's get off. We already at the 2-hour mark here, 2-hour, 15-minute mark. Shout out to all of y'all, man. We've been over 120 the whole entire stream on all platforms. Salute to y'all, man. I really appreciate y'all. And like I said, I would really be nowhere else talking football on a Monday afternoon after a big Giants win like we got against the Washington Commanders, 14-7, in a game that really should have been, a little bit more of a gap between the two teams' points, man. I think the Giants could have really put up at least 24 in this game, possibly 31 in this game. But let me see where we at with these reactions. All right, I'm going to take y'all back. And we've talked about this. Now, I want y'all to put money to the side when we talk about this last overreaction about the quarterback situation. And this one comes from your boy. Your boy Awthentik put this one out at the beginning of the 2022 season in the summer, in August. Now, y'all know, man, I stand 10 toes down on anything I say on any one of these platforms, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, whatever, Instagram, over here on my channel on YouTube here with the beard. Now, entering the year after the Giants had declined the 5th-year option, we were entering 2022 without knowing what Daniel Jones was going to do that year. I said this tweet right here: Tyrod Taylor is the better option for the New York Giants. And boy, did I get destroyed in these comments, right? And I want y'all to fast forward to today and forget the money, forget the contracts, forget how much one guy's getting paid and how much the other guy's not getting paid. Throw it all out. Let's just look at it from a football lens. Who do y'all think? And we don't even got to go O or U. We don't got to do that. Just put TT or DJ in the chat. Who do you think moving forward is the better option for the New York Giants? I want to know what y'all think in the chat. Let me get this one from the homie right here in the DMV. 59 Ways to Groove one time says, just last year, y'all was speaking on how Dable was gushing over Daniel Jones and how he was looking at him. Man, that energy died fast. Yeah, that energy definitely died fast, man. I'm one who I always try to just keep it real over here, try to keep it funky, man. And I thought Daniel Jones played some good football last year. I was proud of the way he played and the way he represented this team last year. It was a good look. Not quite sure how Brian Dable felt about Daniel Jones moving forward, but he definitely was gushing. He had a couple of looks. There was them gazing eyes. We definitely saw that. We talked about that a little bit earlier in the stream as well. Shout out 59 Ways to Groove, man, for joining the conversation. Shout out No Mets, No Nets, No Jets. He said it's a push. We need to see more of Tyrod Taylor. Too early to call. I like this. You see how I tried to eliminate the push, try to force y'all into an answer? Yeah, I like how you did that. No Mets, No Nets, No Jets. That was a smart move, man, to take the push right there. I would like to see some more football from Tyrod Taylor too, man, because we really only got 2 games, a couple little, appearances in relief the last couple of years. And then it's just going off what we saw in Houston and going off what we saw with the Los Angeles Chargers with Tyrod, what we saw with the Buffalo Bills, which was a long time ago. Football players change. I thought Tyrod maybe lost a step when I saw him in the first appearance in Miami with the New York Giants. But seeing him in this game against Washington and against Buffalo, I don't think he lost a step, man. That dude's moving pretty fast for a 30-plus-year-old quarterback. Let me see what else we got from here. LaMamba says he's going you today. He agrees with the statement on the screen. Simeon said Tyrod Taylor. Chance said Tyrod Taylor. Kareem said Tyrod Taylor. LaMamba James said Tyrod Taylor. Deedon said Tyrod Taylor. Joe Schmo 84 said T2. I like that T2. I like that. Terminator 2 Judgment Day, one of my favorite movies too. I like that, Joe. Adam Costa said TT. Going Tyrod Taylor. Pat Barrios is going Tyrod Taylor. He said this year. Gregory taking the under is just true. Tyrod Taylor. Big Dog Status says Tyrod Taylor. James Hollister said neither. No one. Adam Costas with the Tyrod Taylor. Mel Hayes representing them Dallas Cowboys. He said for this year, Tyrod Taylor. NYG Season says Daniel Jones. You paid the man. That's a good point right there. That's a really good point right there. Tone G 860 says he'll have to lose the locker room first, which I don't see happening unless they start trading assets like Adoree and Barkley. That was in reference to Brian Dable. Daniel Marrero. See, I tried to give you that Telemundo accent a little bit right there. He's going Tyrod Taylor. James Williams in the building says, oh, we had some soul power for that win yesterday. Shout out to James Williams in the building. Adam Costas going Tyrod Taylor. Mac the Giants fan going Tyrod Taylor. Arturo Perez is going Tyrod Taylor. Lou Mateo is going Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod doesn't play with adversity from the fans the same way DJ does. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets says a new quarterback that ain't on this roster. I like that one too. Arturo says Tyrod Taylor and then draft. Simeon said neither. Neither of them is the future quarterback that takes us to the promised land. That's true. That's true. I don't want to dismiss Tyrod Taylor like that, but that is kind of true. Hyphen Wade said Tyrod Taylor until he plays otherwise. Shout out to homie to Ilya in the building one time. I ain't seeing you in a grip, fam. Hope all is well. He is the better option, but at the same time, he's not the better option because we can't, our QB, keep producing wins. Let me see. I'm trying to decipher this a little bit. He's the better option, but at the same time, he's not the better option because we can't. I kind of think, I know what you're saying here. He's saying he's not the better option because we won't get our future quarterback if Tyrod keeps producing wins. Good point. Very good point. Chaz G going Tyrod Taylor. David G going Tyrod Taylor. We got Chaz G, David G. Marjorie's taking no Mets, no Nets, no Jets answer. Chris Peace in the building says, I already have my Lil Wayne remix of Go DJ. Go Tyrod. That's my Tyrod. I like that. James Williams says, we should play Jones so we can't lose. So we can lose. Damn, I hate y'all. And get a good draft pick. Tyrod will win too many games. I see a lot of people talking that tank type of vibe. I can't do it, James. I want wins. Put out the best players available that's going to get me the W's. I am Jarrell is taking Tyrod Taylor until the draft. Brother L says, small sample size. I'm on hold status because we've had better luck with DJ. Our DJ back in. On the real, DJ will come back better. I feel you. I hope so. I do hope so because I think that Daniel Jones is inevitably the starter as soon as he gets healthy. Tommy Football in the building. Shout out Tommy, man. Tommy got the best accent in the whole damn country, man. Tommy was holding down these spaces in a major way. And I put 2 and 2 together, man. I didn't know that was you, Tommy. I definitely followed you back on Twitter, man. Love what you've been doing lately in the spaces. Love how you've been talking Giants football. He says, Tyrod Taylor, I didn't see it at the time because after last year, I hoped DJ would progress, but he's still the same dude he was in year one. Tyrod Taylor is a savvy vet and decisive in the pocket. That's a great point right there. Let me see. Kevin the PRF said, DJ, there's a reason he's not a 17-game starter. Off a small sample size. I like that, saying it's an overreaction off the small sample size. I think that's very realistic realistic thinking. I like that. Forbes is in the building, says Tyrod Taylor without a doubt. Let me see. Robert Gregory says Daniel Jones. If you want to tank. Damn. I'm hoping that somebody's going to give me like some good reasoning for Daniel Jones, and it's all tank stuff. Can't do that. Can't. That's tough. That's tough, man. I know that's definitely twisting the knife on the Daniel Jones supporters right now for sure. Big Dog Status said, let him play against the Jets. I think he's talking about Tyrod there. Adam Costa says he was being nice. No Mets knows DJ ain't the answer. Tyrod gives us the best chance to win. Mr. Mini Guy in the building. What's going on, fam? Hope all is well. Yo, yo, yo. Let me see. Adam said T squares again. Shout out SHU Carter in the building. Sock Passe. He says, Tyrod Taylor, I won't lie. If he keeps throwing deep like that, yeah, that's a fact, man. He's stretching the field for sure. Let me see. Big Dog Status says they paid him, but he's not running the system well. Yeah, you know, a lot of people talked about Daniel Jones is doing what he is asked to do, and this year it's been a stark difference, that's for sure. James Williams says we're here debating a 35-year-old backup versus a $140 million paper plate that we overpaid. Sheesh. Yeah, we are. It's kind of harsh. It's tough. Lamamba James says that Daniel Jones lost the locker room. He's not reading defenses the right way. Protection call is trash. Yeah, like his pre-snap read has not been good. I think that's – no one is really speaking about that as why Tyrod Taylor is the better quarterback right now too. You know, they want to give the offensive line kudos and whatnot, but they're not looking at the way that the pre-snap read protections from Tyrod Taylor have looked a lot better. And James says, salute Awthentik. Salute you, James. Appreciate you pulling up, rocking with us today, man. We're just hitting the, the finish line here on this stream. Let me see if anybody else answered this Tyrod. Kevin the PRF said, go Tyrod Taylor and have a $40 million backup, though, through 24. Sorry. So, yeah, go Tyrod Taylor and have a $40 million backup through 2024. It's a good question, man. It's a really good question. I don't think you can do it. I really don't think you can do it. If I'm the Giants and I'm not invested in Daniel Jones, I'm searching for a trade partner as fast as possible and maybe trying to take a little bit of the hit of the contract, the dead cap hit that you would get in 2024, if you're even thinking about going Tyrod Taylor and drafting a quarterback. The Giants are in a horrible spot, man. I got to take the push, Kevin. I got to take the push for sure. Let me see. Kareem Yee says that the Bills had a decent record with Tyrod and still was able to get Josh Allen. Yeah. And, man, I love y'all for this. Y'all bring up such good points. You know, look at the video. There's a video out there. I got a couple of videos to link in this. I'm going to link the Pat Leonard video, and I'm going to link the video where Joe Shane is talking on a podcast telling you how they went out there and they acquired Josh Allen. They had to trade 2 or 3 draft picks, I believe, to move up from pick like 20 to get into the top 10 to get Josh Allen. He's going to have to do that again, I think. And maybe Daniel Jones is one of those assets that you can use to try to get something. I don't know. I really don't know how they're going to approach this next year. It's going to be tough. Big Dog Status said, Tyrod always seemed to be the quarterback at the helm for an organization before they get their franchise quarterback. That's a good point. Yeah, that's exactly what Buffalo did. And Josh Allen came in struggling. Remember, they didn't go to Josh Allen as the starter as a rookie the first couple of games. They had Nathan Peterman and they had Doug Anderson, I believe his name was. Was it Doug Anderson? His name was Anderson for sure. He played quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, and he almost led the Cleveland Browns to a playoff stint as well. He got them to 10 wins, and they just barely didn't make the playoffs. I don't know why Doug Anderson don't sound right. The hell was dude's name? Yeah, he was a quarterback, though, but he got the starts for Buffalo when Josh Allen was a rookie, and then Josh Allen got the start by about week 4, I want to say. And James Williams says, hit the like button for your boy. Big facts, man. That definitely goes a long way to get these streams out there in the atmosphere. This long format content like this is not for a lot of people. And, I appreciate all of y'all who've been rocking with me since the beginning of the stream. And, man, I might go live tonight. We might go live tonight on a Q&A vibe. So keep your eyes peeled on the YouTube community. Shout out James for bringing that to y'all attention. Let me see what else we got here. Yeah, it seems like everyone said Tyrod Taylor outside of like 4 or 5 people. And Big Dog, there you go. I appreciate y'all. J-Tech, it wasn't Doug. It was Derek Anderson. Appreciate you on that. That's facts. And then Big Dog Status said Josh Allen and Herbert. Yeah, man. And you could damn near say, like, Tyrod was drafted with the Baltimore Ravens. They got Joe Flacco, and then they ended up getting a Lamar Jackson. He was a little bit of a transition there as well. Houston, let me see. When did he get to Houston? He got to Houston after the and you could say C.J. Stroud, man. You could really say C.J. Stroud. You really could. That's a great point, man. I think that's Big Dog Status that brought that up and, initially brought it up. And that's just a great point. Like, Tyrod is the great quarterback to be the bridge to get you to the next quarterback. It's such a great point, man. Love that. Love that. Love y'all for that, man. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. We still got over 100 in the building on all platforms, man. I appreciate all of y'all pulling up, man, rocking with me today on this Week 7 edition of the Giant Overreaction, man, where we got a W, bro. Like, you know how good that feels? I'm about to go out here. It's a beautiful day in D.C., man. I'm about to go out here, enjoy this weather, do a little bit of moving. I might put a little bit of extra effort moving some of these boxes and whatnot in these dressers, man, just because my New York Giants went out there and they got the W, man. Big salute to all of y'all, man. Y'all know I could not do this without y'all. I really could not be doing this up here without y'all, man. And it's I'm fortunate and I'm blessed to be able to have a following of people that pull up and talk New York Giants football with me, man. If y'all want to continue the discussion on Twitter before we maybe do this night stream, find me on Twitter at Awthentik. I'm trying to make sure. Let me see if I got through everything. We got the prediction. We got the Brian Dable interviews. Not going to show that. Yeah, we held it down. We did what we got to do, man, today. It's kind of like Daniel Jones at quarterback, right? We did what we had to do. Tyrod Taylor did what he had to do. This was a fire stream. I appreciate all of y'all pulling up, sticking with me to the last minute. 2 hours and 30 minutes, man. Who else going to do that? Just one man up here, the one-man gang. Shout out to the Beard for getting my stream set up, getting everything ready and rocking out with y'all in the chat as long as he could. He's live right now on his channel doing a vintage sale as well. Make sure y'all pull up tomorrow. We're definitely going to be doing the recap of the NFC East at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thursday, we'll be doing the NFC East preview. We got the Dallas Cowboys coming off the bye. They'll be back in the mix. New York Giants are taking on the Jets. It's going to be an interesting week, y'all. Definitely stick with us. And for all y'all that, are new to the family, if you dug the vibes today, man, definitely hit that subscribe button. We're trying to build this channel. I got a goal of 5,000 before the year ends. And as soon as I get set up in this new studio, I know y'all were digging those short videos that I was doing in the off season. With the transition of this move, it's been extremely tough to do that. We're going to get back to those videos, I promise y'all, within no later than 2 weeks. I love creating those. They're such a great vibe. And expect some documentaries at the end of the season. I'm going to be working on some documentaries that are New York Giants based as well. I couldn't do this without y'all support. Everybody who sent in a super chat, everybody who joined the conversation today, salute to y'all. Y'all know how we end every show here, man. Keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. Rest in peace to the podcast GOAT, Combat Jack. That's a wrap, y'all. Appreciate y'all time, man. Tell a friend to tell a friend, as my man Carl Banks would say. Go subscribe to they podcast on the Believe Network. Make sure y'all check out Pat Leonard. Tell them Awthentik sent you. And I'll catch y'all on the next stream. Y'all be good. Peace.